Chapter 521. Sima Yuyue and the rest came in early. With Third Mo, Wu Lingyu, and Kong Sangyi, who were all knowledgeable, they roughly knew which province and which sect those people were from. New dagger, strange new address. What surprised Yuyue was the status of the Xian Yuan Pavilion in the primordial lands. Many powerful forces could only sit in the main hall, and they didn't seem to have any complaints. They waited for more than an hour before the doors to the auction venue closed. Those who were late were no longer eligible to enter. Following the sound of the door closing, an old man with white hair and beard appeared on the auction stage. Upon seeing that person, many gasps could be heard from the crowd. It was obvious that they were shocked by that old man. Sima Yuyue looked at the sagely old man and asked in surprise, "Who is it that caused such a huge reaction?" Third Mo and the others were also rather surprised. They only came back to their senses after hearing her words, saying, "That's the pavilion master of the Xian Yuan Pavilion's pavilion master Jun Song. His position is even higher than the pavilion masters of the central regions. He hasn't appeared in public for many years. I didn't expect that today's auction would be hosted by him." Qin Mo nodded in agreement. "It's indeed surprising. Sima Yuyue did not expect such a person to be the host of the auction today. Although the scale of the auction was relatively large, there was no need for him to come personally." She looked below the stage and saw that Jun Lan and Jun Tian were both there. There was also a steward from the Xian Yuan Pavilion. "I'm Jun Song. I'm sure everyone knows my old face, so I won't introduce myself." Jun Song smiled and said, "Welcome everyone to our auction this time. Everyone has seen the items this time. The quantity is great, and the quality is good. I'm sure everyone will return satisfied. Of course, this is only possible if you have enough crystals in your pocket." Ha ha ha. The people of the Xianyuan Pavilion were all here. "Pavilion Master, how could you say that?" Sima Yuyue looked at Jun Song. Why did she have the feeling that he was an old urchin? Was there such an opening? However, this was also the truth. Without money, they could forget about getting anything tonight. Ahem, ahem. Jun Song pretended to cough when he saw Jun Lan and the others glaring at him. He didn't care about their reactions and continued, "I don't like to nag. You all understand the rules. If you don't understand, ask those who do. Okay, that's it. Let's start the auction now." After saying that, he knocked the auction mallet, and a woman wearing an emerald green gauze dress came up with a tray, indicating that the auction had officially begun. Sima Yuyue was completely speechless at this old man. She guessed that Jun Lan and the rest did not want him to host this auction. Actually, it was just as she had thought. Jun Lan and the others were also very helpless towards this pavilion master who had suddenly appeared. Originally, they had already confirmed that this auction would be hosted by Jun Lan, but they didn't expect him to come here last night and say that he wanted to host this auction. His reason was that the scale of the auction this time was too large, and he was afraid that they would not be able to control it. With him around, no one would dare to act rashly. However, Jun Lan and the group of stewards couldn't help but roll their eyes in their hearts. How was he afraid that they would not be able to control it? He clearly wanted to play. That's right, he wanted to host this auction because he felt that it would be fun. He really didn't have any of the prestige of a pavilion master. The first auction item is an 8th grade pill, the Yuan increasing pill. Taking this pill, those who are nearing the end of their lifespan will be able to increase by 30 years. Although 30 years is not a long time, and some people go into seclusion, but with this Yuan increasing pill in hand, who knows, they might be able to break through in those 30 years. Wouldn't that mean that they would have an extra few hundred or even a few thousand years? Okay, I won't say any more nonsense. Everyone knows the importance of this pill. Now, the auction will begin. The starting price is 10,000 mid-grade crystal stones. Sima Yuyue didn't expect that the first auction item would be such a valuable item. Although 8th grade alchemists weren't rare on this continent, they were still very common. Refining this Yuan increasing pill wasn't an easy task. Just the ingredients alone were very difficult to gather, not to mention the waste in the middle. And this auction didn't follow the order of the previous auctions. Taking out such a rare item at the beginning was considered breaking the previous rules. 11,000 mid-grade crystal stones. 12,000, 15,000. Sima Yuyue and the others didn't join in the bidding. They weren't nearing the end of their lifespan yet. Compared to the yuan increasing pill, she was more interested in gathering the ingredients to refine the breaking monarch pill. Moreover, her money was prepared for those few ingredients. She didn't plan to spend it on these things. When Sima Yuyue came back to her senses, Jun Song was already preparing to strike the auction mallet. 200,000 mid-grade crystal stones going once, 200,000 mid-grade crystal stones going twice. 210,000, 220,000. Sima Yuyue saw that the competition had started and couldn't help but sigh. The price had increased by more than 20 times. And looking at the attitude of those people, it seemed that 200,000 wasn't expensive at all. In the end, the yuan increasing pill was bought for 310,000, which was 30 times the starting price. Everyone knew that the yuan increasing pill wasn't worth that price. But because it was being auctioned, the price had been raised. And Sima Yuyue started to estimate the price of the items she wanted based on this situation. The first auction item was sent to the person who bought it. Then the second auction item was brought up. The second auction item is also an amazing item. In the past, we had an ancestor. Rumor has it that he broke through the emperor level and entered that legendary level. Does anyone know who he is? Jun Song kept the audience guessing. Emperor Qing Dao. Who in the primordial lands doesn't know him? Someone continued. Then do you know that he once used a divine weapon, the Heaven's Halberd? Jun Song said mysteriously. Pavilion Master Jun, are you saying that this auction item is Emperor Qing Dao's Heaven's Halberd? Someone guessed. Huh, you guessed right. This auction item is the Heaven's Halberd. Jun Song laughed and lifted the red cloth on the tray. He continued, this is the upper part of the Heaven's Halberd. Although it's a defective item, it's still a divine weapon that Emperor Qing Dao once used. Everyone knows that in the later stages of cultivation, the only thing that matters is comprehension. This is a divine weapon that Emperor Qing Dao once used. If you take it back, you might be able to comprehend something. The starting price is 20,000 mid-grade crystal stones. Continue bidding. When those people first heard that it was something that Emperor Qing Dao had once used, they were all so excited that they wanted to immediately start the auction. But when they heard that it was a defective item, they hesitated. So when Jun Song called out the starting price of 20,000, almost no one bid. Chapter 522. The Xian Yuan Pavilion was surprised that no one came after the divine tool that Emperor Qing Dao had once used. Shouldn't this kind of thing be more sought after? Just as Jun Song had said, he might be able to comprehend something if he brought it back. However, everyone had different thoughts. Emperor Qing Dao rarely used the Heaven's Halberd after he became famous. Instead, he used a higher-level weapon. Therefore, the Heaven's Halberd was useless in everyone's eyes. It wasn't as meaningful as the weapons he used later on. What's more, this was a defective product that couldn't even be used. Even if he bought it, it could only be used as a decoration. If it was at the back, everyone would have already bid for what they wanted. If they still had money left, it wouldn't matter if they bid for it. But now, it was too close to the front. Everyone was afraid that they wouldn't have enough money after bidding for it. 21,000, Sima Yuyue shouted when she saw that no one else was bidding. Under her lead, only a few people came to bid. However, those people were just shouting for fun. They didn't really want to buy it, so in the end, she won it for 100,000 mid-grade crystal stones. Soon, the Heaven's Halberd was delivered to her private room. She took out her crystal card and swiped 100,000 mid-grade crystals. After the maid left, she lifted the lid and looked at the divine weapon. There's only one head. Yuyue, why are you filming this? Fatty Chu looked at the rusty halberd head and asked puzzledly. Sima Yuyue picked up the halberd head and felt a cold sensation in her palm. The material was definitely not ordinary. Unfortunately, because she hadn't refined it, she didn't know what it looked like without rust. In any case, this is Monarch Qing Dao's divine artifact. It's good to study it when you have nothing to do. She didn't see anything different about this halberd head, so she placed it back on the tray for the others to see. What kind of person is that Emperor Qing Dao? A broken divine tool can actually be sold for the high price of 100,000 mid-grade crystal stones. Wei Ziki asked curiously. There are several levels above the God realm. We are now in the God realm, which is divided into 4 small levels: God King, God Ancestor, God Emperor, and God Venerable. Above the divine rank was the monarch rank, above the monarch rank was the venerable rank, and above the venerable rank was the emperor rank. Emperor Qing Dao is an emperor-level expert. Sima Yuyue explained to everyone. Emperor level? Wei Ziki and the others sucked in a deep breath. Someone had actually reached the emperor level. Since ancient times, there weren't many people who were able to ascend to the emperor rank. Those were all famous. Kong Sengyi said, "It's just that this Emperor Qing Dao is the most eye-catching." How did he attract attention? In the past, the monarchs were generally old antiques who were over 10,000 years old. However, for some unknown reason, Monarch Qing Dao's talent wasn't particularly outstanding in the past, but he advanced to the monarch level before he was 5,000 years old. Some said that he had taken some kind of elixir, some said that he had received some kind of inheritance, and some said that he was originally very talented, and was just hiding it when he was young. However, no matter how others guessed, he rarely appeared after advancing to the emperor level. Later on, he directly disappeared. Thus, there were rumors that he had reached the legendary level and left this world. Legendary level? Left this world? What's that? As our strength grows, our lifespan grows longer and longer. When we reach the emperor level, we can already live for 20,000 years or even longer. However, no matter how long we live, we can't avoid death. Third Mo looked at everyone and said, "But when you reach the legendary level, you become a true god and can live forever." What? Live forever? Is that true or false? Seeing how surprised they were, Third Mo shrugged. Who knows if it's true or false? Didn't they already say that it's the legendary level? Naturally, no one has seen it before, so there's no way to tell if it's true or false. If this Emperor Qing Dao really reached the legendary level, then he's too powerful. Sima Yulu said excitedly. His fanatical eyes were filled with worship. However, Sima Yuyue picked up the halberd head again. Since it's Emperor Qing Dao's weapon, why is it broken and only the halberd head is left? Oh right, he's already an emperor. Then he should be the most powerful person in this world. Who else can break his weapon? Fatty Chu said. Regarding this, Qin Mo and the others shook their heads. Nobody knew what exactly was going on. Legends are legends after all. As for the real situation, only legends will know. Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yuyue furrowing her eyebrows and nodded. Sima Yuyue retracted her thoughts and stopped thinking about what happened back then. Let's continue watching the auction. Although the items at the end of the auction were not bad, they didn't have what they needed. After more than an hour, they didn't bid for anything. After that, Sima Yuyue bid for the 4 types of ingredients that she needed. In total, she spent more than 1 million. After that, she bid for a few materials for Fatty Chu and the others, spending a few 100,000. In total, she spent more than 2 million. This was much less than what Sima Yuyue had expected. However, her main focus was on the last 3 types of ingredients. These 3 types were the main focus. 2 types of barter. One of them could be said to be the only one in the world. Furthermore, it was a medicinal ingredient that was useful for cultivation. The competition would definitely be intense. However, before those 3 types of medicinal ingredients appeared, her items were auctioned off first. The 4 tendon and marrow cleansing pills were sold for a total of 4 million. The other items were sold for 2 million. In total, she earned 6 million. In addition to what she had left, she had a total of 14 million. She didn't know if she could use 10 million to exchange for 3 types of medicinal ingredients. Everyone will definitely like the next item, especially the Seeker Spirit Masters. They will definitely go crazy with joy. Jun Sung said with a smile. Although so much time had passed and she had seen him host for so long, she still couldn't connect him with the pavilion master of the outer regions of Xian Yuan Pavilion. It was too degrading. However, thinking about it was just thinking. The item that was brought up this time was indeed a good item. Everyone present turned to look at it. This is the ancient ore that everyone has been waiting for. Since it is an ore, then everyone should understand that there is a risk. There may be treasures inside, or there may be nothing. Jun Sung said very responsibly, but if there is something inside, then it must be something from the ancient times. I don't need to say anything more, everyone should understand its value. In order to make it easier for everyone to bid, we have specially allowed the Seeker Spirit Masters to come up and watch. Everyone has half an hour. Those who are willing to come up and take a look, please come up. After Jun Sung finished speaking, people immediately went up. Those Seeker Spirit Masters were extremely excited. They all surrounded the ore and looked left and right. Sima Yuyue looked at Third Mo, who was not moving at all, and asked, "Didn't you come for this? Why don't you go down and take a look?" Chapter 523. Third Mo smiled and said, "I've already seen that ore. There's no need to look at it again." "You've already read it? When did this happen? Wasn't it said that the Xianyuan Pavilion was very strict with the preservation of the auction items? How did this guy see it?" "It happened a few days ago," Third Mo said. As for the method, he definitely wouldn't tell anyone. "Since you've seen it, is there anything inside the stone?" Sima Yuyue asked curiously. "There is. Furthermore, I suspect that it's a living creature." Speaking of this, Third Mo's expression became serious. However, there was also unconcealable excitement. If it's a living creature, then wouldn't it be something from ancient times? The things back then seemed to be more powerful than the things we have now, right? Kong Sangyi exclaimed. The others also became excited. If they could open a living creature, the significance would be different. Most of the ores now were condensed from the essence of spiritual power from ancient times or even archaic times. If there was a living creature inside, then the spiritual power had to be so dense that it had turned into a liquid form. It had to wrap the living creature in an instant, freeze its body and characteristics, and make it stop breathing. His functions were also frozen at the same time. When it was released, its bodily functions would continue to function, and its life would continue. If what Third Mo said was true, then wouldn't it be possible for them to meet an ancient creature? Just thinking about it was enough to make people excited. I don't know if the creatures inside are powerful or not, but the creatures from the ancient times are indeed much more powerful than they are now. At that time, celestial emperors were not as rare as they were now. Only one would appear every tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. Moreover, there were many paragons, unlike now. Third Mo sighed after saying that. Why is this world getting worse and worse? Ouyang Fei asked. The changes in the laws of the heavenly Tao are making it harder and harder to advance in cultivation. Wu Lingyu explained, many powerful beings have realized this and have been looking for ways to break through, but to no avail. With regards to the suppression of the heavenly Tao, everyone had a deep understanding of it. Because of this, the Snow Wolf clan had never been able to become a sacred beast. And now, the world was quietly changing, making it harder and harder for humans to cultivate. I understand what senior brother is saying, but why? Why did the rules of the heavenly Tao change? How were the rules of the heavenly Tao formed? Why did it change? Wu Lingyu was stumped by Sima Yoyue's question. He shook his head and said, I think we'll understand when we reach that level. Is there really someone who can reach the Emperor tier or even the legendary tier? Fatty Chu asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Sima Yuyue smiled and said confidently, since others can do it, we can do it too. As long as we work hard, we won't regret it even if we can't. That's true, As long as we work hard, the final result isn't that important. I'm just afraid that on the road of cultivation, we won't be able to hold on to our hearts and forget why. Sima Lai nodded and said. Qin Mo had a whole new level of respect for Sima Lai and the others. Previously, he had only treated them as Yoyue's family and friends, so he had taken care of them. Now, however, he was starting to admire their character. As they conversed, half an hour quickly passed. The Seeker Spirit Master on the auction stage was asked to leave. When everyone returned to their seats, Jun Sung slowly walked up and said, "Did everyone look carefully at this item? What do you think? Not bad, right? If you think it's not bad, then come and bid. The starting price is 500,000. Let's begin the auction." 550,000. Everyone had yet to come back to their senses from the high starting price when someone had already started to bid. In a short while, it had increased by 50,000. 600,000. 700,000. 900,000. 1 million. In less than a minute, the price had already doubled and entered the 1 million range. Those who didn't participate in the bidding saw this and sighed at how rich these Seeker Spirit Masters were. Shouting out hundreds of thousands and millions like drinking water, they really didn't feel any heartache at all. The price was still rising quickly. 2 million, 3 million, 4 million were all broken one after another. The onlookers were all extremely excited. This was the highest and most exciting part of the night. Almost the entire venue was boiling. Everyone's breathing followed the sounds of the bids. Sometimes it was fast, sometimes it was slow. Third Mo looked at those people calling out bids and wasn't anxious at all. He was even in the mood to drink tea. Third Master Mo, aren't you anxious? Kong Sangyi looked at Third Mo's calm appearance and couldn't help but ask. What's there to be anxious about? Third Mo put down his teacup and poured himself another cup. This price won't stop for a while. There's no point in calling out bids in the early stages. Kong Sangyi curled his lips. The situation outside was just as he said. The bidding of the ore did not slow down and high prices were called out one after another. However, the increase wasn't as fast as before. After a while, Third Mo saw that the number of people calling out bids had decreased and started to bid. 10 million. He raised the price by 1 million in one bid, causing everyone present to suck in a breath of cold air. 11 million. A man quickly chased up and also raised the price by 1 million. Once the two of them made their moves, the Seeker Spirit Masters who wanted to call out bids temporarily stopped because everyone could hear the voices of these two people. If they wanted to compete, no one else had a chance. This Liang Yu acted rather quickly. Fatty Chu didn't have a good impression of this person. The Stone Pavilion is a place to earn money. As the young master of the Stone Pavilion, he naturally has money. Kong Sangyi said. Then doesn't that mean we have no hope? Even if Third Mo had money, how could he compare to the young master of the Stone Pavilion? The amount of money that he could move could smash someone to death. That might not be the case. Shiman Feng opened his mouth. It's because he's the young master that he has more things to consider. That's why he can't let go. Sima Yuyue looked at Shiman Feng. The little brother that always liked to hide behind her back had already grown up and could analyze things from all angles. When the price reached 40 million, Liang Yu's bidding slowed down. An old man beside him advised, "Young master, this ore is at most 20 million. Now that the price has reached 40 million, it has already far exceeded its value. If we get it in the end and it's not worth this price, it will be hard for us to explain when we go back." The last time Sima Yuyue earned 10 million from the Stone Pavilion, he had already been scolded by his family. If he spent a large amount of money on something useless, he would probably be punished by his family. After thinking about it, Liang Yu gave up on bidding. Third Mo finally won the ore at the price of 49 million. Third Master Mo is so bold. You didn't hesitate at all when bidding. Liang Yu waited for Jun Sung to hit the auction hammer before speaking. Isn't young Master Liang the same? However, I originally thought that young Master Liang would follow me to 100 million. I didn't expect you to withdraw early and save me another sum. Third Mo retorted. Chapter 524. Liang Yu almost lost his temper in the private room. Third Mo's words were obviously mocking him. If it wasn't for the old man beside him holding him back, he would probably have gone berserk. The people from the other factions were not like the Seeker Spirit Masters who recognized the two people's identities early on. However, when they heard the two sides reveal their identities, they knew who the bold bidder was. Previously, they had thought that it was a lot, but now that they thought about it, this price was nothing more than a drop in the ocean for them. Liang Yu slammed his fist on the table and said hatefully, "This third Mo really thinks he's some big shot. If I have the chance, I'll definitely teach him a lesson. Young master, don't be rash." The old man advised, "This third Mo has an eccentric personality. These years, he has offended many big powers, but he has always been living well. If it's not because he's too capable, then it's because his background is too high. Either way, we can't act rashly. I'm the young master of the stone pavilion. Can't I touch him?" Liang Yu didn't care about third Mo's status at all. The last time someone from the Sage Pavilion provoked him, the entire branch pavilion was mobilized, but in the end, they were all wiped out, and the main pavilion didn't say anything. The old man said in a low voice. Liang Yu was shocked. Where did this third Mo come from? Even the general pavilion isn't saying anything. The old man shook his head and said earnestly, "No one knows about third Mo's background. Everyone thinks he's just a rogue cultivator, but how could a rogue cultivator be so powerful? Therefore, many people guessed that he must have a strong background. There is no unresolvable enmity between young lord and him, so there is no need to continue this." For Liang Yu to be able to become the young master, he naturally had a little bit of ability. He knew that there were already people in the family who were dissatisfied with him. If he brought disaster to the family, he was afraid that his position as the young master would be lost. The oars were quickly sent to Third Mo's private room. Third Mo took out his crystal card and swiped out more than 40 million mid-grade crystal stones. He didn't even blink. He was truly a tycoon. Sima Yuyue and the rest gathered in front of the rock and examined it carefully. This rock that was half the height of a human was worth more than 40 million yuan. It was worth more than their lives. However, no one noticed anything special about the stone even after looking around. "Is this really an ancient ore?" Sima Yuming asked. "I can't tell. I feel that it's no different from a normal rock." Fatty Chu shook his head and said, "I can tell that it's an ore, but I can't be sure if there are spirit stones inside." Qin Mo said. Sima Yuyue was the best. She looked at the ore and said, "I can tell that it's from a long time ago, but I can't tell that it's from the immemorial era. I can feel that there's something good inside, but I can't tell if it's a living creature." Third Mo walked over and touched the ore, saying, "It's normal that you can't tell. This ore looks ordinary and normal. Normal Seeker Spirit Masters would only treat it as a waste or a normal ore. You've just become a Seeker Spirit Master not long ago. It's already not bad that you can see that it's not normal." Sima Yuyue was not disheartened by the fact that she could not tell what was going on. Just like what Third Mo had said, she had not been in this industry for a long time. She still had to take it slow. Haste makes waste, and she might even make a mistake. Third Master Mo, when do you plan to open the stone? Kong Sangyi asked expectantly. Everyone wanted to see what could be opened, so they all looked at Third Mo. Third Mo shook his head, saying, "I don't know yet." "Why? Don't you plan on opening it?" Fatty Chu asked. "It's not that I don't plan on opening it. If it's really an immemorial creature, when we open it, that thing might run away. If we can't find it by then, wouldn't my 40 million go down the drain?" Third Mo explained. "The chances of that happening aren't high. Moreover, we can set up a barrier." Kong Sangyi said. "If it's a normal thing, then it's fine. If it's something very powerful, then it'll be dangerous when we open it." Secondly, the barrier won't be able to stop it. Third Mo said. Fatty Chu and the others looked at Sima Yue. Although they did not say it, she understood what they meant. If they could open this thing in the spirit pagoda, they could stop it immediately if there was any danger. They wouldn't have to worry about it escaping. However, she did not say anything. Third Mo and Qin Mo were people she could trust wholeheartedly, but Kong Sangyi was not. She did not plan on telling her this secret yet. Oh, if she became her younger sister-in-law, then she wouldn't have to hide it from her. Or she could go back and ask Feng. He had the most right to speak about Kong Sangyi. Because they couldn't tell what was going on, everyone's attention quickly shifted from the ore to the auction outside. At this time, another 2 items had already been auctioned. When they looked, a servant girl just happened to bring a long box. This thing looked like a weapon. Jun Sung indicated for the servant girl to open the box. A meter-long white whip appeared in front of everyone's eyes. I'm sure many of you have already guessed the auction item this time. It's the long-lost deity striking whip. It's used to attack spirit masters' consciousness. It's a divine weapon that allows you to fight above your level. We have already confirmed that this is the deity striking whip that was all the rage back then. The starting price is 200,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Begin the bidding. Once Jun Song's words fell, everyone present was fired up. One by one, they began to bid. The scene was even more heated than the auction of the ancient ore. During the auction of the ancient ore, most of the bidders were seeker spirit masters. This time, everyone was mobilized. Everyone wanted to get the deity striking whip. Even Kong Sangyi excitedly grabbed Shiman Feng's arm when the deity striking whip appeared. The light in his eyes was even more dazzling than the stars. There were many people who wanted it, so the price was high. However, Kong Sangyi came prepared this time. He won the deity striking whip for 7 million. Kong Sangyi held the whip lovingly. He could not suppress the smile on his face. Sima Yue took it and looked at it. It felt very good. It was suitable for a girl's petite palm. Moreover, it was not very long. It was not an ordinary weapon. Deity striking whip. It specializes in attacking consciousness. If there's a chance, I want to see it. Qin Mo said. Me too. Kong Sangyi wanted to find an enemy to try it on. Junior brother, the item you wanted is up. Wu Lingyu said. Hearing him say this, the people in the room shifted their attention away from the deity striking whip. Kong Sangyi also kept the whip in his spatial ring and paid attention to the situation outside. The item up for auction now has a very beautiful name. Luotian's tear. It's an essential ingredient for refining many rare pills. Things like monarch breaking pill, spirit recovering pill, etc. And this Luotian's tear rarely appears even once in 10,000 years. It was precisely because of the lack of this that many medicinal pills could not be truly refined even though they only had the pill formulas. Today, everyone is in luck. This Luotian's tear is the biggest pill in history. It can be used 4 to 5 times. Of course, its uses are far more than what I've said. Everyone knows this. The starting price is 500,000. Begin the bidding. Chapter 525. Luotian tears. This was one of the reasons why many people came here today. In fact, many of them came here for this item. For more, please visit Sima Yue knew that it would be sought after by many people, but she did not expect that it would become something that everyone would go after like a flock of ducks. The bids were getting louder and louder. She hadn't even started to participate in the auction, but the price had already reached 5 million mid-grade crystal stones, which was 10 times the original price. These people really don't treat money as money. Fatty Chu clicked his tongue and sighed when he heard those people calling out prices. Jealous? Bei Gong Tang laughed. Of course I'm envious. When will we be able to have so much money? We'll be able to buy whatever we want. We'll be able to use it for cultivation and throw it away as we wish. How awesome would that be? Fatty Chu spoke his heart's desire. Why does it sound like something a nouveau riche would do? Yang Fei teased. Fatty Chu, on the other hand, wasn't the least bit embarrassed as he smiled and said, a nouveau riche is also a rich person. Sima Yuyue did not join the discussion because she had already started bidding. Luo Shenlei was something she had to obtain no matter what. When she saw the bidding going on like wildfire, she had already made up her mind. If she failed this time around, she would resort to extreme methods. Even if she had to resort to underhanded means, she had to obtain the Luo Shenlei. The price was still rising and was approaching 10 million. Seeing that Sima Yuyue was still bidding, Shimen Feng couldn't bear it and said, Yuyue, forget it. This is a necessary ingredient. If we miss this opportunity, we don't know when we will get another one. Sima Yuyue looked at Shimen Feng. We can't wait. 10 million. At this moment, Wu Lingyu spoke. My sage pavilion wants this Luotian's tear. The moment they arrived, they brought up the name of the sage pavilion, causing many people to leave. This time, there were many powers that relied on the sage pavilion to survive. Once they heard the Holy Sun speak, they had nothing else to say and immediately backed out. There were still some people who wanted to bid, but they suddenly realized that the Holy Sun of the Sage Pavilion was in the same room as Third Mo. Didn't that mean the two of them were on the same side? Even if those people didn't respect the Sage Pavilion, they wouldn't dare to not respect Third Mo compared to the Sage Pavilion. Third Mo, whose background was completely unknown, was even more frightening. Sima Yuyue was speechless. She looked at Wu Lingyu resentfully. This guy didn't even discuss it with her before speaking up, and even brought the Sage Pavilion into the picture. However, this move was also useful. At least no one chased after him. 10 million going once, 10 million going twice, 10 million going thrice. Jun Sung swept his gaze over the auction hall and after ascertaining that no one wanted to continue bidding, he slammed the mallet. The transaction is successful. The Luotian tear is obtained by His Highness Saint Child. As soon as he finished speaking, a maid came up and took the tray to Sima Yuyue's room. Sima Yuyue took out her crystal card and transferred 10 million to the serving girl before keeping the Luo Shenlei. Towards the end, Sima Yuyue didn't participate in the bidding. None of the items attracted her attention, but she watched them and gained a lot of knowledge. This auction continued for a day and a night. On the morning of the third day, Jun Sung finally said that the auction had ended and it was time to exchange items. At the start, the two items didn't attract Sima Yuyue's attention. But when the third item was brought up, she started to listen to Jun Sung's request. Jun Sung introduced the items as usual before saying, this time, the owner of the item didn't say what he wanted. He only asked those who want to participate in the auction to write down the items you are willing to take out on a piece of paper. He will decide who to exchange it with. Sima Yuyue took out a piece of paper and thought for a moment before writing down the golden snake fruit. She then passed the piece of paper to the serving girl who came to collect the paper. Very quickly, the owner of the item decided who to exchange it with. He chose to exchange it with Sima Yuyue's golden snake fruit. Outsiders wouldn't know what Sima Yuyue took out, but if it could move the owner's heart, it must be something valuable. When the last item was brought up, everyone's eyes widened. Even Sima Yuyue couldn't help but hold her breath. This is the last item in this auction, divine sand. It was obtained from an ancient ore. I don't need to say more about its value. Everyone should understand. Jun Sung said, the owner wants one item. Other than this item, he won't exchange it for anything else. Pavilion Master Jun, don't keep us in suspense. What does he want? Hurry up and tell us. Someone below the stage urged. Jun Sung saw that everyone was anxious and smiled until his eyes almost turned into slits. He said that as long as he has divine scar, whoever has divine scar can exchange it for this divine sand. Divine scar? What's that? Everyone present didn't say that they had it. They hadn't even heard of it before. Sima Yuyue also frowned. She had heard of divine scar before, but she didn't have it. What exactly is this divine scar? Your Highness Holy Sun, do you know? Divine scar is a type of divine medicine. It was planted by monarch Wu Hen in the past. It is said that before he passed away, he poured all of his spirit energy into this medicinal herb, causing it to transform from an ordinary medicinal herb into a divine medicine. This thing only exists in ancient books and no one has ever seen it before. Wu Lingyu said. Since it doesn't exist, why did the owner set such a condition? Wu Lingyu and Qin Mo shook their heads, expressing that they didn't understand that person's thoughts. Maybe in his eyes, this thing exists in this world. Sima Yue sighed. She didn't think that the other party would want divine scar. She could only stare at the divine sand, unable to obtain it. Jun Sung waited for a while. Seeing that no one was able to take it out, he could only let people put it away. At the same time, he announced that today's auction had come to an end. When he got off the stage, he felt a little sorry for the owner. She had already searched many places, but she didn't think that she wouldn't find it. She wanted to try her luck this time, but she still didn't find it. Thinking about her current situation, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. After the auction ended, everyone left one after another. Because she didn't get the divine sand, Sima Yue was a little depressed. Seeing Sima Yue like this, Shimin Feng felt a little heartache. He pulled her and said softly, Yue, it's okay that you didn't get it this time. I'm already very satisfied that I was able to find you. No, since there's a way to control your situation, I won't give up. Sima Yue shook her head and said, although we don't have divine scar, we can go and discuss it with her and see if she can change the condition for us. Before I try, I won't give up. After making the decision, she wasn't in a hurry to leave. She only let Sima lie and the others take their people back first. She, Wu Lingyu, Third Mo and the others went to find the servant, saying that they wanted to see Jun Lan. Chapter 526. Jun Lan was shocked when she heard that Sima Yue was looking for her. The auction for the new dagger was already over. Why did she come looking for him instead of going back to admire the things she had bought? However, even though she was surprised, she still went to meet Sima Yue. Yue, why are you looking for me? Jun Lan asked when she saw Sima Yue's anxious expression. When Sima Yue saw Jun Lan enter, she didn't beat around the bush and asked, do you know who the divine sand belongs to? You're interested in that thing? Jun Lan looked at her in surprise. Sima Yue nodded. She looked at Jun Lan and said sincerely, please tell me that this thing is very important to me. That's a friend of my great uncle's. Jun Lan said. But I've never seen that person before. You haven't seen him before? Sima Yue was shocked. Didn't they say that she and Jun Tian were in charge of this auction? How could she not have seen such a special guest before? Understanding Sima Yue's thoughts, Jun Lan said helplessly, although the divine sand was confirmed before the auction, we never saw the real thing. It was my great-uncle's idea, so it was included in the list. That thing was brought back by my great-uncle on the eve of the auction. Her great-great-uncle was Jun Sung. Sima Yue was silent for a moment. She raised her head and said, Jun Lan, can you introduce me to that master? I want to meet him. Is that thing really that important to you? Jun Lan couldn't bear to reject Sima Yue when she saw how anxious she was. This concerns the lives of my family members. Sima Yue said. I'll give it a try. It might not succeed. Jun Lan said. I heard from my great-uncle that that person's health isn't very good, so he might not agree to meet you. But I will try my best to speak for you. Sima Yue bowed to Jun Lan and said, I can't thank you enough. If I need Yue in the future, Yue will definitely not refuse. Why are you saying all this? Jun Lan glared at Sima Yue. I haven't even thanked you for saving my life. Wait here for a moment. I'll go talk to my great-uncle. Sorry to trouble you, Sima Yue said. Jun Lan left the living room, leaving Sima Yue waiting anxiously. She knew that a lot of people would leave after the auction to avoid being targeted. Therefore, she wasn't sure if the owner of the divine sand would leave immediately. If he left, it would be troublesome for her to find him again. After waiting for a long time, Junlan finally returned. When she saw Sima Yuyue, she said, "That person agreed to meet you, but he said that he can only meet you alone. He won't meet anyone else." Sima Yuyue looked at Wu Lingyu and the others and said, "I can go alone." "Senior, big brother Qin, shameless third, you guys go back first." Wu Lingyu looked at her worriedly. She didn't know who the other party was. If she went alone, she didn't know if something would happen. But they all knew Sima Yoyue's personality. Once she made up her mind, even 9 bulls wouldn't be able to pull her back. "We'll wait for you here." Third Mo was also worried. "My great-uncle said that that person isn't in Xianyuan Pavilion, so if Yuyue comes back, she won't come here either." "You guys should go back and wait," Junlan said. "Yuyue, let's go." Sima Yuyue nodded at them and left with Junlan. They didn't go outside. Instead, they went to the backyard of Xianyuan Pavilion and used a transportation array to leave the city. When Sima Yuyue opened her eyes again, she was already in a quiet and unique small courtyard. The courtyard was so big, but there wasn't a single person's voice. It seemed cold and cheerless. She still hadn't recovered from her dizziness when Jun Sung appeared in the courtyard at some point. "This is the benefactor you were talking about?" Jun Sung looked at Sima Yuyue and asked. "Yes, great uncle." Jun Lan nodded. "This junior greets Pavilion Master Jun." Sima Yuyue bowed to Jun Sung. "I've already talked to her. She said that she'll give you a few minutes." Jun Sung said, "Come with me." After speaking, he turned and left. Sima Yuyue hurriedly followed, while Jun Lan waited for them at the same spot. Without permission, no one was allowed to enter that courtyard. Jun Lan remembered this rule. Sima Yuyue followed behind Jun Sung. She could feel that his aura was getting heavier as he walked, as if he had something on his mind. "She doesn't like crowds. I won't go in." "You can go in," Jun Sung said. Sima Yuyue was curious about the identity of the person inside. Why did she feel that Jun Sung was that person's subordinate? But looking at Jun Lan, she shouldn't be someone from Xianyuan Pavilion. "Uncle Sung said that someone wants to see me." "It should be you." Cough cough, cough cough. Sima Yuyue heard a pleasant voice the moment she stepped into the courtyard. But before that person finished speaking, she started coughing. It sounded like she was seriously ill. Illness Sima Yuyue didn't know when she had seen someone sick. Because no one who cultivated would get sick. Some would only get injured. She walked around the flowers in the courtyard and saw a chaise lounge in the pavilion. A beautiful woman was lying on the chaise lounge. The woman's face was abnormally red. She must have coughed just now and caused the blood to rush to her head, causing her face to turn crimson. After coughing for a while, that woman raised her head. She looked at Sima Yuyue with a strange gaze. Then she smiled gently. "Miss, why are you looking for me?" Sima Yuyue was shocked. She looked at that woman with caution. She was clearly wearing an illusion ring. How could she tell that she was a woman at a glance? That woman didn't say anything about Sima Yuyue's caution. She calmed her breathing and said, "Don't be afraid. I don't have any thoughts about you. Speaking of which, you're the one who wants to see me. You're here for the sand of God." Sima Yuyue looked at that woman. She felt that she had an unusual aura. At least in her previous life, she had never met anyone who gave off this kind of aura. "You're sick." Sima Yuyue didn't reveal her purpose. She just blurted out this sentence. That woman tidied up her pure white dress. There was still a trace of blood on it. She had coughed just now. Hearing Sima Yuyue's words, she was stunned. Then she smiled and said, "Yes, I'm sick. My illness is incurable. I've never heard of cultivators getting sick." Sima Yuyue didn't understand. "Now you've seen it." That woman mocked herself. "If you're here today for the god sand, please leave. Other than the god's scar, I won't trade for anything else. You want the god's scar to cure your illness, right? Sima Yue asked. That's right. But you should know that the god's scar is just a legend in ancient books. No one has ever seen it. It doesn't even exist. Disappointment flashed across that woman's eyes. Although it was fleeting, Sima Yue caught it. Chapter 527. Cough cough, cough cough. The woman had finally rested for a while, but now she started coughing again. Moreover, the coughing was so severe that she sat up from the chair. She didn't know if it was because of what Sima Yue said. Sima Yue couldn't bear to see her like this. She went up and patted her back, hoping to calm her down. After a while, the woman finally caught her breath and stopped coughing. Are you all right? Sima Yue felt an inexplicable heartache when she saw a stunning beauty coughing like this and even bleeding. After thinking for a while, she took out a cup of spirit fruit juice and handed it to the woman. Drink some of this. The woman raised her head and looked at Sima Yue. Seeing the sincere concern in her eyes, she smiled and took the spirit fruit juice. Then, she took a small sip. He thought that it would quench his thirst and calm his nerves. Unexpectedly, his throat felt much better after drinking it. He didn't feel like coughing anymore. This was the most comfortable time he had felt in so many years. This can relieve your cough. Try drinking more. Sima Yue said when she saw her stop after taking a small sip. The woman took another sip before asking, "What is this?" The fruit juice from the spirit fruit has the effect of moisturizing the throat. I also added some herbs in it, Sima Yue explained. She had asked Little Spirit to make this, so when she took it out, it was still freshly squeezed and tasted pretty good. This is even more effective than those pills. The woman said with a smile. Sima Yue looked at her smile and felt that she was a very comfortable woman. Just looking at her made one feel happy. It was a pity that her sickly pale face was pitiful. How did you get sick? It was strange that a cultivator could fall sick. Can I have a look? You're a doctor? The woman was a little surprised, but she quickly regained her calm demeanor. You should be a doctor. But you're still too young. I've seen at least 800 doctors with this body of mine, if not 1,000, but I'm still like this. Since you've already seen so many people, you don't mind seeing one more, right? Sima Yue said. The woman looked into Sima Yue's eyes and lay back down, saying, You're right. I'll have to trouble you then. Sima Yue took out a chair and sat down beside the woman. She began to examine her body. Feng Han Yen. The woman looked at Sima Yue's serious expression and suddenly said. Sima Yue was stunned. She immediately understood that she was talking about her name. She did not expect her to have such a beautiful name. Sima Yue, she replied. People from the Sima clan? I came from the Lin continent. Sima Yue replied. She knew that the Sima family that Feng Ruyen was talking about was definitely not the Sima family from the lower continent. Feng Ruyen nodded and did not say anything else. After a while, Sima Yue retracted her hand. She frowned and looked at Feng Ruyen suspiciously. Did my body scare you? Feng Ruyen saw Sima Yue's expression. She was neither surprised nor disappointed. It was as if she had expected her reaction. You're not sick, Sima Yue said confidently. Feng Ruyen smiled. She did not confirm nor deny. But your body is very strange. It's as if your internal organs are not working. Sima Yue continued. A doctor once told me that if I try to slow down my internal organs, I can prolong my life. Feng Ruyen did not hide it. Her internal organs were actually working. It was just that they were very slow. It was so slow that she could not feel it. Sima Yue was stunned. How powerful was she to be able to make her body work like this? You were injured before and have not recovered. It seems like something rushed into your body. Sima Yue said, but you sealed it into your internal organs. That's why I can't see it. Feng Ruyan then looked at Sima Yuyue. She did not expect her medical skills to be so good. She did not say the reason why her body was not well, but Yuyue was able to see it. I don't know which quack gave you the idea to seal that aura in your internal organs. It's obvious that you want to drag this sickly body of yours forever. Sima Yuyue said angrily, because of this, you can't get it out even if you want to. You can only seal it in your body and slowly eat away at your life force. Feng Ruyan smiled. If that person knew that he was called a quack, she wondered what kind of expression he would have. The situation is urgent. There's no other way. She still defended that person. But this will be troublesome. Sima Yuyue said. Hearing her words, Feng Ruyan's eyes flashed. You have a way. Your situation is similar to my brother's, but your situation is worse than his. Sima Yuyue sighed and said, it's really giving me a headache. Feng Ruyan smiled sincerely. It was different from the smile that always hung on her face. This time, it came from the bottom of her heart. That helpless look of hers was rather cute. How long has it been since someone dared to show such an expression in front of her? Or rather, how long has it been since someone dared to show any expression in front of her? No matter if it was fear, worry or anything else, none of them. Then do you have a way? She asked. I don't have a way to cure it, but I can think of a way to suppress it. Sima Yuyue said, at least you won't feel so uncomfortable. Use this? Feng Ruyan raised the cup in her hand. Unknowingly, she had already finished the fruit juice. Sima Yuyue shook her head, this can only temporarily relieve the discomfort in your throat. It can't suppress your situation. You have to use other methods. How can I believe you? Feng Ruyan asked. Sima Yuyue looked at Feng Ruyan and said, I need the divine sand. Save your brother? Feng Ruyan was not angry at her straightforward words and said with certainty. Sima Yuyue nodded her head. You are an honest lady. Feng Ruyan said, if you can cure my illness, I will give you the divine sand. Sima Yuyue looked at Feng Ruyan awkwardly. Aren't you making things difficult for me? I already said that I haven't thought of a way to cure you. Moreover, your situation is so complicated. If I cure you and then save my brother, I will be worried about my brother. How can I be at ease to save you? Feng Ruyan was just casually saying it. She knew her current situation. Other than the divine scar, there was no other way. Moreover, she could feel that her body was getting weaker and weaker. Who knows when she would reach the end? Stay by my side. If you can't cure me, you can still get the divine sand after I die. I won't. I will definitely save you. Sima Yuyue said with a resolute gaze. Chapter 528. Feng Ruyan looked at her bright eyes and felt as if something had struck her heart. Why? Why was he so determined to save her? They didn't seem to have any interactions. Sima Yuyue was also stunned. That's right, why did I have such a strong desire to save this woman? Just as she said, if he followed her, even if she died, he would still be able to obtain the divine sand. But why didn't she want her to die? Could it be that she was so used to pretending to be a man that she fell in love with beautiful women? It shouldn't be, right? She couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth as she quickly denied her own thoughts. When Feng Ruyan saw Sima Yuyue's expression, her smile deepened. If you can suppress my illness, I will give you the divine sand. She found that she really liked the girl in front of her. Okay. Sima Yuyue nodded. She could accept this. She was confident that she could suppress Feng Ruyan's illness. Feng Ruyan closed her eyes and said, I'm tired. Then rest well. I need to make some preparations. I'll come and treat you in 2 days. Sima Yuyue said. All right. When Sima Yuyue saw that Feng Ruyan was about to fall asleep, she sighed and took out a cup of fruit juice mixed with herbs. She gently placed it by the side and turned to leave. Once she left, Feng Ruyen opened her eyes and looked at the cup of fruit juice. Her lips curled into a smile, but before she could say anything, she started coughing again. After coughing for a while, she felt that her internal organs were about to be coughed out. Thinking of the fruit juice that Sima Yuyue had left for her, she took a sip while coughing. Unknowingly, a few women appeared beside Feng Ruyen. "Your Honor, you should return as soon as possible," the woman in the lead advised. "Why should I go back?" Feng Ruyen felt that her throat felt better and stopped coughing. She laid back down and said, "It's the same if we go back. We might as well stay outside and feel more comfortable. Who knows when I'll be gone? I'll take this opportunity to take a good look at this world." Hearing her words, the women all knelt down and said in unison, "Senior will definitely be safe and sound. Life and death are predestined." Feng Ruyen said indifferently, "Everyone, get up." "Your Honor, will Sima Yuyue really have a solution?" the woman in the lead asked. "Feng Jiao, look at her, how old can she be?" Feng Ruyen asked. "He should be in his 20s, Feng Jiao replied. "For someone in their 20s to have her current medical skills, it is already amazing," Feng Ruyen said. She then thought of how she scolded quacks and laughed. If Lord Ji knew that he was scolded as a quack by a 20-over-year-old girl, I wonder how he would react. Feng Jiao seemed to know what Feng Ruyen was laughing about and laughed as well. "That's right. If Jean knew about it, he would be so angry that he would stomp his feet," Feng Ruyen said. "Then, Your Honor, do you really want her to treat you?" Feng Ruyen placed the cup in her hand to the side, closed her eyes and didn't reply. She only said, "Go investigate her." Seeing that Feng Ruyen closed her eyes, Feng Jiao waved her hands at those women and the group of people disappeared silently. After Sima Yuyue returned, she told them about Feng Ruyen's situation. She wanted to see if they knew who she was, but Third Mo and Wu Lingyu had never heard of such a person. Seeing that they didn't know, Sima Yuyue didn't think about this problem anymore. The most important thing now was to suppress her illness and then exchange for the god San to suppress Shiman Feng's condition and prolong his life. She went to find Shiman Feng and asked about Kong Sangyi. Shiman Feng said with certainty that even if Kong Sangyi knew about the spirit pagoda, he wouldn't say anything. That night, Third Mo came to find her and said that he was preparing to go to Kong Valley. Sima Yuyue saw his frown and knew that he was thinking about the ore that she bid for. She thought for a while and said, "I know a place that can let you start without any distractions." "Where?" Third Mo asked. Sima Yuyue closed the door and with a thought, she brought him into the spirit pagoda. Third Mo had heard of this divine weapon before. Although he was shocked, he quickly accepted it and happily said that if he was here, no matter how powerful that thing was, he wouldn't be afraid. Sima Yuyue saw his happy expression and said, "You stay here and study how to open the ore. I'll bring them in." After that, she brought everyone in, including Kong Sangyi. Knowing that Third Mo was going to open the ore, everyone was excited. Only Wu Lingyu was faintly angry. Others already knew, but he only knew. It seemed like his position in her heart wasn't high enough. After staying inside for a day, Third Mo said that he had thought of a way to open the ore. Thus, a group of people surrounded him and watched as he took out the tools to open the ore. Then, he thought for half an hour before opening the ore. Then, he thought for another half an hour before opening the ore again. Because this ore was too complicated, Third Mo couldn't grasp the situation inside. He chose the safest way to open the ore and peeled off the outer layer of the ore. The deeper they went, the more nervous everyone became. The ore that was originally half a person's height had already been peeled off and was only a foot tall. It was coming out. After Third Mo peeled off the outer layer of the ore, they could faintly see a green light. Everyone knew that the spirit ore was coming out. Everyone held their breaths and watched as Third Mo peeled off the rest. When the outer layer of the ore was peeled off, everyone saw the true appearance of the spirit ore. A thin layer of the spirit or wrapped around a small golden snake that was a foot long. That small snake's eyes were closed and it gave people the feeling that it was asleep. Suddenly, the color of the spirit or quickly faded and the spirit energy inside disappeared. The spirit or cracked and the small golden snake inside suddenly opened its eyes, shooting out a cold gaze. However, that gaze disappeared in a flash and the small snake revealed a confused look. A small snake? Is this an immemorial small snake? Fatty Chu looked at the small snake and said in surprise. His words seemed to have startled the small snake. It moved its body and struggled out of the cracked spirit ore. Looking at the people around it, its eyes revealed an ominous glint. SSSSS, the little snake spat out its tongue. Looking at so many people, its eyes were cold, and there was an innate arrogance in its eyes. The small snake looked around and fixed its gaze on Third Mo, who was closest to it. Be careful. Sima Yuyue shouted at Third Mo, wanting to let little spirit separate the small snake. However, she realized that the small snake had disappeared in a flash. Soundless. Wu Lingyu, Qin Mo and the rest frowned. Even they didn't know where the small snake went. Woo woo woo, just when the atmosphere was incomparably tense, a whimpering sound suddenly entered everyone's ears, causing their scalps to go numb. It was only then that everyone realized that the little snake was coiled around Sima Yuyu's neck. Its head, which was the size of a finger, was rubbing against Sima Yuyu's face. It let out a woo 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 sound as tears fell onto her face. At this moment, she didn't move at all and her entire body was frozen. Chapter 529. Sima Yuyue felt goosebumps all over her body when she heard the cries and felt the wetness on her face. First edition she didn't know how the little snake got to her neck, but she felt a chill on her neck. The little snake had already wrapped itself around her neck. Woo-woo. The little snake's cries became louder and louder. Her tears kept falling. Sima Yuyue looked at her and felt that she was very sad. Everyone was stunned by this scene. They thought that this thing would hurt people or escape, but they didn't expect this situation. After a while, they saw that the little snake was just crying and had no intention of hurting Sima Yuyue. Only then did they feel slightly relieved. No matter how I look at it, the way it looks at Yuyue is as if Yuyue had once abandoned it. Wei Ziqi said. That's right. I was wondering why it looked at Yuyue so strangely. It didn't look like it was looking at a stranger. It looked more like it was looking at its former owner. It was the kind of look a pet would give to its owner after being abandoned. Everyone felt the same way. Even Sima Yuyue felt guilty from the way Sima Yuyue looked at her, as if she had really abandoned her. Little fellow, did you get the wrong person? Sima Yuyue saw that the little golden snake had no intention of harming her, so she reached out to stroke the little snake's head and comforted it. Who knew that when she said that, the little snake cried even harder. Its tail kept hitting her body, and its head kept rubbing against her face. Woo 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 woo, she looked so sad that Sima Yuyue's heart almost melted. She quickly comforted her, don't cry, don't cry. I won't leave you alone in the future. Actually, it wasn't that she was soft-hearted, but she felt that this little fellow was about to go berserk. Now that it was on her neck, what if it used all its strength and strangled her to death? When the little snake heard her say that, it stared at her with its big teary eyes, as if trying to discern the truth. Really, really. Sima Yuyue promised. Woo-woo. After confirming that she wasn't lying, the little snake rubbed against her face again. Sima Yuyue's hair stood on end. She was afraid that Sima Yuyue would bite her to death if she was careless. She slowly reached out her hand, wanting to remove the little fellow from her neck. However, she realized that the little fellow was wrapped around her neck and refused to budge. Being entangled by an ancient creature like this made her feel insecure. I can't breathe with you like this. Can you come down first? She tried to communicate with the little fellow. This little guy didn't know how to speak the human language. It didn't understand the human language. Woo-woo. The little snake whimpered and tilted its head to look at Sima Yuyue. It seemed to understand what she meant and let go of her neck. However, it did not come down. It hung around her neck like a golden collar and closed its eyes in satisfaction. This guy is relying on Yuyue. Fatty Chu looked at it and laughed. Sima Yuyue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This clearly belonged to Third Mo, but it seemed like he was trying to cling onto her. Shameless Third. Third Mo waved his hand and said, "Since it came to you, I'll give it to you." Shameless Third, how can you do that? Sima Yuyue shook her head. An ancient creature was not something that could be measured with tens of millions of crystal stones. Hiss. As if it felt Sima Yuyue's intention, the little fellow opened its eyes and stuck out its tongue at Third Mo. Its cold eyes stared at him fiercely. It looked like if he dared to take it, it would bite him to death. See. Third Mo looked at the little snake and spread his hands. Now, it wasn't a matter of whether he wanted it or not. It was a matter of whether the other party wanted it or not. Didn't you give me something good too? If you feel embarrassed, you can brew more fruit wine for me. In order to make Sima Yuyue accept it, he said, "You have so many spirit fruits here. No wonder you have so many types of fruit wine. Okay, I'll definitely let you drink enough." Sima Yuyue accepted Third Mo's kind intentions. This little fellow looked very fierce. She didn't know what would happen if she angered it. Thus, she decided to go along with it. She just didn't know if this fellow would leave after it was done staying by her side. She kept her thoughts and let everyone walk around. Those who wanted to go out were sent out. Then, she went into the pill refining room. The little snake suddenly moved. Sima Yuyue felt that the cold feeling was gone. She looked up and saw that the little fellow had run to the shelf where the pills were placed. She saw it wrap around a pill bottle and plunge its head into the bottle. In the end, its mouth was too small and it couldn't pull its head out with the pill in it. Sima Yuyue immediately laughed. The fear she had towards it disappeared just like that. She walked over and broke the jade bottle to free it. If you like to eat pills, just tell me. I'll naturally give it to you. If you do something so embarrassing again, I won't care about you anymore. She reached out and poked the little fellow's head. Woo woo. The little fellow shook its tail in protest. Sima Yuyue ignored it and turned to the table to arrange the medicinal ingredients. She said, "You can eat any of the pills here, but don't waste them for me." Hearing no sound behind her, she turned around and saw that the little fellow had finished a big bottle of pills in less than a minute. Seeing Sima Yuyue looking at it, it stopped and looked at her very innocently. "Luckily, I'm an alchemist. Luckily, there are enough medicinal ingredients in the spirit pagoda. Otherwise, how would it be enough for a little fellow like you?" Yuyu shook her head. "Little fellow, you're so small. I'll call you little fellow from now on." Hiss hiss. The little fellow glared at her in protest. "I don't want little fellow. Little fellow isn't domineering at all." Sima Yuyue understood its gaze. She smiled and said, "Your protest is invalid. I'm going to refine pills. Don't disturb me. Otherwise, I won't let you enter this room in the future." Hiss hiss. The little fellow hurriedly nodded, indicating that it wouldn't disturb her. Sima Yuyue looked at it and couldn't help but laugh. This little fellow clearly gave off a very dangerous feeling. Even Wu Lingyu had expressed that this little fellow made him feel a faint sense of fear. This meant that it should be very strong. Furthermore, it had the usual coldness of a snake. People couldn't help but keep a distance from it. However, this little fellow was very dependent on her. Thinking about how it cried at her just now, she touched her face. Could it be that she looked very similar to its previous owner? However, its previous owner was dead. It didn't die. This meant that there was no contract between them. If that was the case, then why did it cry so sadly when it saw her? Chapter 530. Since she could not figure it out, she was too lazy to think about it. However, she was a little worried that if the little fellow left her, she would be letting third MO down. However, she was thinking too much. The little guy who was happily eating the pills didn't have any intention of leaving her. He was happy because he had so many pills to eat. Sima Yue found many herbs and refined 3 types of elixirs before leaving the spirit pagoda. Although the little fellow was very reluctant to part with those medicinal pills, but she had already left, so it could only bear the pain and leave. It wrapped around her arm like a wrist guard. Sometimes, when she had an idea, she would take out a pill to tempt it, teasing it before giving it to eat. Sima Yue stayed with everyone for 2 days. After she finished preparing everything, she went to Xian Yuan Pavilion to look for Junlan. In these 2 days, Mo San and Kong Sangyi returned to Kong Valley, while Shimin Feng was left behind by Sima Yue. Qin Mo also left. He still had matters to attend to in his clan and had to return to deal with them. He had to go back and make some preparations for Sima Yue's revenge. Although she said that she wanted to take revenge on her own, he still had to be prepared in case she needed it. Bei Gong Tang returned to Autumn Moon City. The matter between the Yin clan and the Bei Gong clan was not over yet. Her mother was still there, so she needed to go back and help. Ouyang Fei, the Sima family, and Honor Rock also went with them. They wanted to help Bei Gong Tang. Moreover, Sima Yue had already agreed to meet them in Tianfu City. Thus, only Wu Lingyu and Shimin Feng were left by her side. Junlan had already received instructions from the other side and went to see her immediately. Seeing the 2 men beside her, she asked, "You're taking them there?" "Don't worry, I'll tell her," Sima Yue said. The reason why he brought Shimin Feng along was because he was afraid that Shimin Feng would be disobedient and run to the Zongjin clan for revenge. Then, he would use the power in his body, so it was best to bring him along. Wu Lingyu shamelessly followed them, saying that she was worried about them and wanted to go with them. Seeing that Sima Yue had already made up her mind, Junlan didn't say anything. She brought them to the courtyard in the suburbs using the transportation portal. Perhaps it was because they had brought people with them, but this time, someone stopped them. Feng Jiao looked at Wu Lingyu and Shimin Feng with hostility, but because of Sima Yue, she didn't show anything. She just didn't allow them to enter the innermost courtyard. These 2 people can live in other courtyards, but they cannot go to His Honor's courtyard, Feng Jiao said. Sima Yue immediately knew who His Excellency was. She thought that such a beautiful woman, even if she were to look at her from afar, she would feel that she was being blasphemous. Okay. She nodded and glanced at Wu Lingyu and Shimin Feng, saying, "You guys go rest with them. I'll go check on her." She went to Feng Ruyan's courtyard alone, and the first thing she heard was her suppressed coughing. She quickened her pace and walked over. It was still the same place, the same chaise lounge, and the same pale and thin figure. It was a heart-wrenching cough, as if she was going to cough out her internal organs. Sima Yue went forward and reached out her hand to Feng Ruyan's back. A stream of spirit energy was injected into her body, alleviating the discomfort in her body, allowing her to slowly stop coughing. Feng Ruyan stopped. The handkerchief in her hand was almost completely dyed red by the blood she coughed out. She threw the handkerchief to the side and smiled faintly. "You still have your ways. Why do I feel that your condition has worsened again?" Sima Yue frowned. The last time she came, her coughing wasn't this bad. How did her condition become so serious in just 2 days? Feng Ruyan didn't say that she used her spirit energy again yesterday. Every time she used it, it would be a death sentence, but yesterday's situation wasn't up to her. She didn't think that the other party would come looking for her, but she had already dealt with them, so there wouldn't be any danger for the time being. Sima Yue grabbed her hand and checked for her. Her face sunk. "You used your spirit energy yesterday?" Feng Ruyan nodded lightly. "You should know your condition. Every time you use your spirit energy, your body will become worse. Why did you still use it?" Sima Yue looked at her pale face and couldn't help but say what was in her heart. "Hee hee." Feng Ruyan laughed softly. This was the first time she was cared for by someone she didn't know. It was purely caring for her body, unlike other people. Cough cough, don't worry. I won't die. Sima Yuyue didn't think that such words would come out of Feng Ruyan's mouth. She should be beautiful and not this kind of person who was filled with helplessness towards life. I'll suppress your condition first, she said with a sigh. Okay. Feng Ruyan smiled and looked at her. Sima Yuyue took out the pill she refined these 2 days and said, eat this first. I will perform acupuncture for you later. Sima Yuyue stayed in the courtyard for 1 day and 1 night. When Jun Sung came to see Feng Ruyan, she was preparing to go back and rest with a tired face. Eat this. Feng Ruyan took out a pill and placed it in Sima Yuyue's hand. Her complexion was much better now. She wasn't as pale as before and wasn't as red as when she coughed. She looked like a normal person, as if her illness had already recovered. Sima Yuyue looked at the pill in her hand. The milky white pill had circles of pill markings on it. This meant that the pill's grade wasn't low. Aunt Feng, I am just a little tired. I will go back and rest. Such a precious pill, it's better to save it for when I need it urgently in the future. She put away the pill. She didn't eat it, but she didn't plan to return it. After interacting for a day and a night, the distance between the two of them was much closer. Feng Ruyan took the initiative to let her call her aunt, and the relationship between the two of them became different. This pill isn't anything precious. Do you still need to eat it next time? Feng Ruyan said. I also don't want my body to rely on this pill. Sima Yuyue smiled and said, I will go and rest first. Go on. Feng Ruyan waved her hand at her. That movement was so graceful. Sima Yuyue cupped her hands towards Jun Sung and left the courtyard to find a place to rest. Your Honor, your illness has recovered? Jun Sung waited for Sima Yuyue to leave before asking. Not really. Feng Ruyan said, she thought of a way to suppress it temporarily. Although it is temporary, it has been a long time since I felt so relaxed. I didn't think that she really had a way. Jun Sung said. Yes, even Jean didn't have a way. She did it in 1 day and 1 night. Feng Ruyan's words were full of praise. Your Honor, I heard her call you Aunt Feng just now, Amen. She reminded me of little brother's child many years ago. They looked similar, so I let her call me that. I also like this child. Then does she know your identity? Chapter 531. Feng Ruyan shook her head and lazily said, it's because we don't know that we can interact like this. Many people respected her, and feared her because of her status, but very few people truly cared about her. My lord, does she really not know your identity? Jun Sung said worriedly, I heard Feng Jiao say that she treats you very special. I don't know if she did it on purpose. PFFF, Feng Ruyan suddenly laughed. She recalled that when she asked Sima Yuyue why she was so nice to her, Sima Yuyue blushed and said that she did not want to see such a beautiful person die. She even said that the scent on her body was very comfortable, and Sima Yuyue could not help but want to get close to her. Could it be because of Sovereign Lord's cultivation method? Jun Sung guessed after hearing what Feng Ruyan said. Although my technique can make people feel close to me, that is only at the initial stage. At this stage, closeness has become reverence. Feng Ruyan said with a bit of loneliness. It was lonely at the top. Only when one stood at the top could they understand. Pausing for a moment, she continued, however, her soul does give people a sense of closeness, but I don't know why it's hidden. If it weren't for my good perception, I wouldn't have noticed it. If Sima Yuyue was here, she would definitely be shocked. In the beginning, her soul had formed a contract with the spirit pagoda, so there was a sense of closeness to her soul. However, ever since she had advanced to the god level, she remembered the past. The hatred of the past had changed the aura of her soul, suppressing that sense of closeness. He didn't expect Feng Ruyan to be able to sense this. However, Perhaps it was because of the affinity between their souls that they found each other pleasing to the eye, although it was not obvious now. Jun Sung saw that Feng Ruyen was more interested in Sima Yuyue and said, although I don't know much about this person, Lan, and the other's evaluation of her is not bad. Furthermore, it was rare for him to have such attainments in medical skills at such a young age. If only. Feng Ruyen raised her hand and interrupted him. Since I like this child, I don't intend to force her. I have my own decision on this matter. Yes, my lord. All right, you can leave first. Yes. After Jun Sung left, Feng Ruyen took a sip of the fruit juice that Sima Yuyue left for her and closed her eyes to rest. Sima Yuyue went back to rest for the night and came to look for Feng Ruyen the next morning. This time, Feng Ruyen wasn't in the pavilion, but in the house. She was talking to Feng Jiao about something, and when she arrived, Feng Jiao had just received her orders and came out. Aunt Feng, it's time for the second acupuncture, she said to Feng Ruyen after entering. Feng Ruyen waved her hand, and the two white-clothed women in the house retreated, leaving behind a woman named Feng Qing. Feng Qing took off Feng Ruyen's clothes, leaving only her undergarment. Her perfect back was exposed in front of Sima Yuyue. Sima Yuyue couldn't help but wonder how a man would react if he saw it. Unlike yesterday, he didn't need to prick the whole body. This time, he only needed to prick the two acupuncture points on his back and head. After he was done, he took out a milky white pill and fed it to her. Feng Ruyen felt that the pill was different. Her tired soul actually had a sense of relaxation that she hadn't felt in a long time. It was like a spring breeze, soft and gentle. What kind of pill is this? She asked curiously. How many years had it been? She actually had a curious heart. This isn't a pill. It's a pill that I developed using some herbs that are useful for the soul, Sima Yuyue said. Feng Ruyen raised her eyebrows. She had become her lab rat? Seeing Feng Ruyen's expression, she explained, and Feng isn't the first to take this pill. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. Feng Ruyen smiled, I know. Hiss hiss dash, smelling the fragrance of the pill, the little fellow woke up from its sleep and stretched out its head to take the pill. Feng Ruyen then noticed the little golden snake and said in surprise, ancient golden snake? Hiss hiss dash, the little fella stared at Feng Ruyen and spat out its tongue. Aunt Feng knows about this little fella's origin? Sima Yuyue was afraid that it would hurt Feng Ruyen and quickly reached out to hold it down. Seeing Feng Ruyen's expression, she should know about this fella. Feng Ruyen didn't expect that Sima Yuyue's wrist guard was actually an ancient golden snake. When it was asleep, it had completely concealed its aura. Even she didn't notice it. She looked at the little golden snake again and said, I've seen it in ancient books. However, it only mentioned the characteristics of its body and didn't describe it in detail. How do you have an ancient creature? In the last auction, Shameless 3 bought an ancient ore. This little fella came out from there. Sima Yuyue didn't hide it. She originally thought that Feng Ruyen would know about this little fella's situation. She didn't expect that it was just this little information. An ancient creature is something that many powers are after. In the future, it's best that you don't let anyone know about its identity, Feng Ruyen warned. I understand. Sima Yuyue took out a pill and the little fella swallowed it in one gulp. Then, it rubbed against the back of her hand and went back to sleep. Aunt Feng, after 2 more acupuncture sessions, your condition will be completely suppressed. Sima Yuyue said, in these 2 months, you must not use any spiritual energy. Otherwise, all our previous efforts will go to waste. After these 2 months, you'll only need to rely on pills to suppress it. Then, every 20 years, I'll have to perform acupuncture for you. However, this can only be maintained for 200 years. If we still can't find a way to cure it in 200 years, then there's really nothing we can do. 200 years. Feng Ruyen's expression was slightly restrained. A faint smile hung on her lips. 200 years is not bad. Aunt, don't worry. I will definitely find a way in these 200 years. Sima Yue said. I believe in you. Feng Ruyen said as she took out a box and passed it to her. Sima Yue looked at the box and was stunned. Aunt, didn't you say that you'll give it to me after you've suppressed your condition? Take it. I believe in you. Even if I give it to you now, you'll take care of it for me. Feng Ruyen said, the one wearing a mask in the courtyard next door is your brother, right? Yes. Because he was bitten by a poisonous bug, his face is full of scars, so he has to wear a mask. Sima Yue took the box and said, then I'll have to thank Aunt. You can go. Feng Ruyen put on her clothes and stood up, waving her hand at her. Sima Yue obtained these things and wanted to suppress Shimin Feng's aura as soon as possible. She bowed and left. The two of them were in the same situation. They both had something in their bodies that couldn't be changed. However, because of the difference in strength and other reasons, the difference between the two of them was like heaven and earth. Although they're both suppressing the situation, the method to cure it will be different in the future. I hope that when the time comes, the two of them will have the same method to cure it. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Looking at the divine sand in her hand, she was in a good mood and walked towards Shimin Feng's courtyard. Chapter 532. Sima Yue and Shimin Feng stayed in the house for 2 days before coming out. During this time, Wu Lingyu was waiting in the courtyard. The door was opened, and Sima Yue appeared in front of him, looking a little tired. He suddenly felt that this girl was too tired and often made herself look like this. Are you done? He stepped forward and naturally reached out to press her temples, gently rubbing them. Sima Yue could feel his spiritual energy flowing into her brain through his fingers. Her tiredness disappeared. She wanted to push his hand away, but now she allowed him to massage her. When Shimin Feng came out of the house, he just happened to see this scene. Seeing the sunlight sprinkling on the two people, so quiet and harmonious, his footsteps subconsciously stopped. He knew that Wu Lingyu was interested in his older sister, but he didn't know why. When he was chatting with Wu Lingyu, he had heard Wu Lingyu lament that she had not opened her heart yet. Now that she had regained her memories, it would be difficult for him to enter her heart. Sima Yue felt Shimin Feng's appearance and struggled out of Wu Lingyu's hands. Her expression was a little strange, as if she had done something bad. Wu Lingyu was talking to Shimin Feng naturally, she was not as uncomfortable as she was. It seems that after suppressing the aura in your body, you give people a different feeling. It's not as cold as before. Shimin Feng walked out and said, I've been used to it for so many years. Now that I've suppressed it, I'm still not used to it. It's all thanks to Aunt Feng's divine sand. Otherwise, your condition wouldn't have been suppressed. Sima Yue said, come with me to thank her later. Okay. Shimin Feng nodded. But who exactly is she? Sima Yue shook her head and said, I don't know either. I think his identity is not simple. Her strength is the highest I have ever seen. But no matter what her identity was, I felt that she didn't belong here. She might leave at any time. It was uncertain whether their lives would intersect in the future. I'll go back and rest first, then I'll take you to see her. After saying that, she returned to her room and began to meditate to recover her mental strength. On the second day, Sima Yue brought the two of them to see Feng Ruyen. Perhaps it was because her body was much better, she met them. When Shimin Feng and Wu Lingyu saw Feng Ruyen, they were somewhat stunned. There was actually such a beautiful girl in this world. Moreover, that kind of indifferent feeling made people feel very comfortable. The vicissitudes of life in her eyes made it seem as if she had gone through countless years. The holy son of the sage pavilion. Feng Ruyen looked at Wu Lingyu and said, I heard that you are Yo Yue's senior brother? Yes. Yue said that she hasn't been to the Divine Devil Valley. How is that devil brat now? Feng Ruyen said indifferently, but it made Wu Lingyu's heart tremble. Everyone called his master Old Man Devil, but she called him Little Devil. What did this mean? Aunt Feng has seen my master before? Sima Yuyue asked curiously. I have. At that time, he was still a little brat and was very arrogant. I didn't think that he would be the Valley Lord of the Divine Devil Valley now. Feng Ruyen said with a sigh. Sima Yuyue wanted to laugh. An old man like Old Man Devil was already at a height that people looked up to. Now that he was called a little brat, if he heard it, who knew how he would react? Moreover, she really couldn't imagine what that arrogant little brat would look like. At the same time, she was guessing her identity. A beauty that was more powerful than Old Man Devil, her identity must be extraordinary. If she met him in the future, she could ask him. I heard that the food you cook is quite delicious. When are you going to cook for Aunt to try? Feng Ruyen asked. Sima Yuyue knew that she must have sent people to check on her, so she wasn't surprised that she knew how to cook. She smiled and said, if Aunt Feng wants to eat, I can cook for you now. However, your body is special now, so there are some things that you can't eat. Just do as you see fit. Feng Ruyen said, I haven't eaten for a long time, and I miss the taste of it. Then I'll go make it now. Sima Yuyue stood up and said. No rush, let Jun Sung make a kitchen first. Feng Ruyen remembered that there wasn't a kitchen here. No need, I have everything. Sima Yuyue said. She originally planned to cook outside, but Feng Ruyen said to cook in the courtyard so that she could watch from the side. Sima Yuyue chose a few medicinal herbs that were beneficial to Feng Ruyen's body and made a few dishes. They were all simple, but the taste was not bad. Feng Ruyen ate happily. Although the taste was light, it was to her liking. After eating, Shimen Feng and Wu Lingyu left. Sima Yuyue stayed behind to chat with Feng Ruyen, taking the chance to ask her questions about cultivation. Feng Ruyen was really good to her. No matter what she asked, she would patiently answer her questions. Feng Ruyen was always able to answer the questions that she was struggling with. With just a few sentences, she would feel enlightened. Feng Jiao and the others were envious when they saw Feng Ruyen answering Sima Yuyue so patiently. To be able to receive guidance from his honor, who knows how many lifetimes of fortune she has accumulated. If those people knew, they would go crazy with envy. His honor liking her is indeed a blessing. Sima Yuyue knew that Feng Ruyen's identity was not ordinary, but she didn't say it out loud. She was afraid that if she said it out loud, they wouldn't be able to interact like now. And Feng Ruyen also liked this kind of interaction. In her long life, this period of time was just a drop in the ocean, but it made her heart feel peaceful. Thus, she liked Sima Yuyue even more. After that, Sima Yuyue gave her 2 acupuncture treatments and completely suppressed her illness. Then, she went into seclusion for a week and concocted a pile of pills, giving all of them to Feng Ruyen. Eat 1 pill every 7 days. These pills should be enough for you to eat for 5 years. Sima Yuyue said, also, this is the pill recipe. When you finish eating the pills, remember to ask someone to find these ingredients to concoct. Feng Ruyen took the pill recipe and looked at it. The grade wasn't high, but the concoction process was quite troublesome. It could be seen that her pill concoction skills were not weak. Also, if you don't need to use your spiritual power, then don't use it. If you have no other choice, then eat 2 of these pills. This is the pill recipe. She took out 2 bottles of pills. Feng Ruyen looked at them and saw that they were black-colored pills. Feng Ruyen kept the pills and the pill recipe. She hesitated for a moment and asked, are you willing to leave with me? Sima Yuyue was startled, then she shook her head and said, I know that if I leave with you, I might step into a different life. But I have family and friends here. I still have a huge grudge that I have yet to avenge and a wish that I have yet to fulfill. Thus, I cannot leave with you. Chapter 533. Feng Ruyen wasn't surprised by Sima Yuyue's answer. After interacting with her for 2 months, she understood her better. If she had wanted to follow him from the start, she wouldn't have not asked about his identity for such a long time. It's good that you don't go back with me. If there's a chance in the future, you'll naturally go too. She smiled faintly. I'll give you something. Sima Yuyue did not know what she wanted to give her. She wanted to reject it, but Feng Ruyen placed her hand on Sima Yuyue's forehead. Following that, Sima Yuyue felt an additional presence in her sea of consciousness, together with Feng Zhixing's faint figure. Feng family? Feng Ruyen hurriedly sensed Feng Zhixing's aura and asked in astonishment. Sima Yuyue didn't expect that she would do the same thing as Feng Zhixing before he left. She said anxiously, Aunt Feng, how can you do this? How can your body stand it? Feng Ruyen raised her hand to stop her and said, You should know that my soul power is stronger. That makes no difference to me. However, what I'm more curious about is who is that person in your sea of consciousness? It's my master. Sima Yuyue said, his name is Feng Zhixing. After giving me this, he left the Yi-Lin continent and returned to the primordial lands. Aunt Feng, do you know the Feng family? She took out Feng Zhixing's jade pendant and showed it to Feng Ruyen. I don't know the Feng Zhixing you're talking about, but I've seen the patterns on this jade pendant before. Feng Ruyen said, These few years, I've been walking around the central and outer regions, and I've seen many of the Feng clan symbols. But if you ask me about Feng Zhixing, I don't know. Sima Yuyue put away the jade pendant. She naturally knew that there were members of the Feng family in the middle and outer regions, but she did not know where Feng Zhixing was. When he left, he said that he was going to settle the matters between the Feng clan and the Sage Pavilion. She didn't know how the situation was now. She believed that only the direct descendants of the Feng clan would have this jade pendant. When she went to the central region, she would definitely ask the Feng clan. I can feel that his strength isn't that high, but he's willing to take out a portion of his power to protect you. He treats you very well. Feng Ruyen said. Master is very good to me. Sima Yuyue said. Thinking about how Feng Ruyen had also left her aura in her body, she was touched. I will definitely think of a way to cure Aunt Feng's illness. Hee, alright, I'll wait. Feng Ruyen smiled and said. It was unknown if she heard her words. I left this aura in your body. If you encounter something you can't solve, you can also touch her. Once I sense it, I will rush over. She didn't say it out loud, but Sima Yuyue understood. If there's a chance, go to Carefree World to take a look. After Feng Ruyen finished speaking, her figure slowly faded and disappeared in front of her. At the same time, Feng Jiao and the others who were standing guard outside vanished into thin air. Sima Yuyue opened her mouth, but no words came out. She just watched as Sima Yuyue disappeared quietly. She did not open the space tunnel like Old Man Devil and the rest. Just how powerful was she? Jun Sung hurriedly walked in from outside, but he could no longer see Feng Ruyen's figure. Jun Sung, I'll have to trouble your Xian Yuan pavilion to take care of Yuyue. Feng Ruyen's voice came out of thin air. Jun Sung cupped his hands towards the sky and said, Xian Yuan pavilion will not disappoint your honor. Feng Ruyen's voice did not come out again. It was unknown if she heard his reply. Jun Sung looked at Sima Yuyue who was in a daze and said, Little friend Yuyue, this is my Xian Yuan pavilion's token. With this, you can mobilize half of the Xian Yuan pavilion's power. If you encounter any problems, you can look for them. Xian Yuan Pavilion had an extraordinary position in the primordial lands. Furthermore, their management was very strict. Even an ordinary elder did not have the authority to mobilize half of the pavilion's power. Sima Yuyue saw Jun Sung take out such a token and was shocked. Pavilion Master Jun, how can this, little friend Yuyue, this primordial lands is extremely dangerous. Although you are the young master of the Divine Devil Valley, the Divine Devil Valley is only active in the central regions. Now that you are in the outer regions, I can't follow you all the time. It's best that you take this. Jun Sung said, You also heard what his honor said. If anything happens to you, we won't be able to explain it to him. Aunt Feng isn't a member of your Xian Yuan Pavilion. Sima Yuyue said. That's right. But he has a deep relationship with my Xian Yuan Pavilion. Jun Sung said, you should accept this. Otherwise, this old man can only follow you around 24 hours a day to ensure your safety. Sima Yoyue's mouth twitched. Why did Jun Sung's words sound so shameless? At this moment, he was very similar to the one at the auction. He was different from the one in front of Feng Ruyen. However, she still took the token. Since he had already said so, if she still didn't accept it, it would seem unreasonable. If this old man really followed her all day long, the people of the Xian Yuan Pavilion would probably go crazy. She looked at Jun Sung and didn't ask about the relationship between Xian Yuan Pavilion and Feng Ruyen. Although this old man gave her the feeling of an old urchin, she believed that to be able to become the pavilion master of the outer regions and be together with Feng Ruyen, he definitely wasn't as he appeared. Pavilion Master Jun, since Aunt Feng has already left, Yuyue won't disturb you any longer, she said to Jun Sung. Little friend Yuyue, do you have any plans after this? Jun Sung asked. After asking clearly, he would be able to make arrangements. Sigh, with Feng Ruyan's instructions before she left, her life was now very precious. There are still 2 months before the Heavenly Sect's decennial enrollment. I want to try. Sima Yuyue said. Yes, that's a pretty good place. Those who enter come out pretty good. But if you want to go, you don't have to go through so much trouble. I'll write you a recommendation letter. You can take it to the teaching director. Jun Sung said as he took out a pen and paper and wrote a recommendation letter on the spot. Sima Yuyue admired his speed. She hadn't even said she wanted it and he had already prepared it for her. Then I'll have to thank Pavilion Master Jun. She didn't know that Jun Sung couldn't wait for her to go to the Heavenly Sect. Her current strength was too low and it was too dangerous to travel around the continent. If she went to the Heavenly Sect and stayed there for a few decades, their Xian Yuan Pavilion would be at ease for a few decades. With her talent, when she came out, her strength would definitely change drastically. No need to thank me. I'm also going to the Heavenly Sect. Why don't we go together? Jun Sung asked with a smile. Before I go to the Heavenly Sect, I have to go to the Autumn Moon City first. I'm afraid I can't go with Pavilion Master Jun, Sima Yuyue tactfully declined. That's a pity. Jun Sung looked regretful. Sima Yuyue looked at his expression and had the urge to facepalm. But she really did want to go to the Autumn Moon City. Bei Gong Tang and the others had left for more than 2 months without any news. This made her a little worried about their situation. She wanted to go and see what was going on. Chapter 534. The more Yuyue thought about it, the more worried she became. Thus, she hurriedly bade farewell to Jun Sung, brought Shimen Feng, and had Wu Lingyu open the space tunnel, and went to Autumn Moon City together. The other end of the spatial tunnel that Wu Lingyu opened was right above the Yin clan. When Sima Yuyue and the other two appeared, Bei Gong Tang and the others immediately felt it. It's a bit dull and depressing, Shimen Feng said as he supported Sima Yuyue to prevent her from falling from the sky. Sima Yuyue was depressed that she could not fly. However, she could also feel the oppressive atmosphere in the Yin family. Just as she was worried about Bei Gong Tang and the others' safety, a familiar figure ran out from the house. Fifth brother. Yuyue. Yuyue, why are you here? Shimen Feng held on to Sima Yoyue's waist and landed on the ground with her. Seeing that she was fine, she heaved a sigh of relief and said, "We've settled the things on our side. Seeing that you guys haven't contacted us, we were worried that something might have happened to you guys, so we came to take a look." The head of the Yin family also came out of the house. When he saw Wu Lingyu and Sima Yuyue, he said, "What are you standing here for? Tang, why aren't you inviting them inside to sit?" "Yes, clan head." Bei Gong Tang replied, "We are currently discussing some matters. I will bring you all back to the courtyard to rest." "What happened?" Sima Yuyue asked. "The Bei Gong family and the Earth Palace have joined forces to suppress us. Furthermore, they've even joined forces with other powers and formed an alliance. We've already fought with them a few times in these 2 months. Bei Gong Tang said, they're very strong. We've already been forced into a dead end. Furthermore, they are still in discussion. According to the information we received, they will launch an all-out attack on us in 2 days. What about the Goshawk clan? The Goshawk king returned, and so did the other goshawks. Bei Gong Tang said, we also wanted to send people to inform the Goshawk clan to ask for their assistance, but the people we sent out were all killed by them halfway. Where is Honor Rock? After General Rong and his men left, their whereabouts are also unknown. However, unlike the men we sent out, their corpses were not returned. Bei Gong Tang said apologetically, I'm sorry, Yu. It's all because of us that General Rong and the others. It seems like the Bei Gong clan and the Earth Palace do not intend to survive in this world. Sima Yue said coldly. Little Rock, are Honor Rock and the others still alive? Little Peng appeared in front of everyone. He closed his eyes and sensed for a moment, saying, he's still alive, but his aura is a bit weak. He should be heavily injured. Moreover, they are still running. They may be being hunted down. Is it far away? Not far. It shouldn't be far from Autumn Moon City. Little Rock said. Okay, tell them to hold on. We'll go and save them right away. Sima Yue said, also, release your aura to warn the Bei Gong clan and the Earth Palace. Also, let the Goshawk King know that you are back. Little Rock nodded. The aura of the Golden Winged Rock was released without reservation. The Earth Palace Master and Bei Gong Xiong, who were discussing matters with the Bei Gong clan, stood up immediately. This is, the Rock King is back. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. If the Rock King was back, then they would definitely be able to contact the Goshawk clan. Once they arrived, the situation would be reversed. It seems like we can't care so much anymore. Gather people immediately. We have to destroy the Yin clan before the Goshawk clan arrives. Bei Gong Xiong slapped the table and said, Palace Master, please send people from the Earth Palace over. The Earth Palace Master, who was also Gu Yunair's mother, said fiercely, I didn't expect the Yin clan to be able to find people at this time. Whoever dares to stop me from avenging my daughter and granddaughter, I will not let them go. Come on, take my token back and call all the people of the Earth Palace here. Yes, Palace Master. A woman stepped forward to take the token and turned to leave. In the Goshawk clan's land, the Goshawk King was cultivating at the edge of a cliff with his eyes closed. Feeling Little Rock's aura, he opened his eyes. There was a trace of doubt in his eyes, which then turned into ruthlessness. He ordered, all clansmen listen to my order. Those with the strength of a sacred beast and above, gather immediately. King, what's the matter? A woman behind him asked. King is back. He just sent a message through the air. He must have met with danger. The Goshawk King said, go and arrange it. We will leave in half an hour. Yes, King. Half an hour later, the Goshawk King left with thousands of sacred beasts. Other than leaving behind some necessary people to protect the younger generation of the clan, the others followed him to Autumn Moon City. Sima Yue knew that once Little Rock returned, the Bei Gong clan and the Yin clan would definitely make a move. However, if they didn't do so, they wouldn't be able to contact the Goshawk clan. They needed a lot of time to go back and forth. It was hard to guarantee that the Bei Gong clan and the Earth Palace wouldn't make a move. Yin clan master, the Yin clan should have a defensive array, right? Yes. Little Rock said that the Goshawk clan has already set off. They will reach here in a day. You just need to activate the teleportation array and hold on until tomorrow. Sima Yue said. Although we have a defensive array, if too many of them come and attack continuously, the array won't last long. Yin clan master said. Sima Yue thought about it and called Little Rock. They flew into the air and took out array stones. They threw them in the Yin clan's direction. When the Yin clan saw Sima Yue setting up the array, they cried out in surprise, she's an array master? Bei Gong Tang glanced at them but didn't reply. Because the Een clan wasn't small, Sima Yue spent more than an hour to set up the array. She then landed and said to Bei Gong Tang, I set up an illusion array. If the Bei Gong clan and the Earth Palace come, activate the illusion array and trap them for a while. However, this illusion array won't last long. Once it's broken, you will have to use the defensive array. However, with the two arrays together, you should be able to delay them until the Goshawk clan arrives. Also, if the Earth Palace and the Bei Gong clan want to attack you, they will need some time to prepare. Yue, what about you? Bei Gong Tang asked. I'm going to save Honor Rock and the others. Sima Yue said, to be able to chase them away, the opponent's strength is definitely not low. Honor Rock and the others are injured and need someone to save them. Then you guys be careful. Bei Gong Tang said. Sima Yue nodded and said, you guys too. Not long after Sima Yue and the others left, a group of people came down from the Earth Mountain. They were aggressive and rushed towards Autumn Moon City. At the same time, many forces in Autumn Moon City gathered in front of the Bei Gong clan, waiting for the final order. Chapter 535. When Bei Gongxiong led everyone to launch the final attack on the Een family, he realized that no matter where the Een family went, they always maintained a constant distance. They had no way of getting close to the Een family's residence. Patriarch, Palace Lord, the situation doesn't seem right. No matter where we go, we can't reach the Een clan. It's as if we're walking on the same spot. Someone noticed that something was amiss and reminded. Not good, Palace Master, we've entered an illusion. A man from the Earth Palace said. Illusion array? The man looked at the faint smoke that filled the street and said with certainty, that's right, we must have entered an illusion array. However, this illusion array was set up in a hurry, so it only has the effect of trapping and does not have any offensive power. Then isn't what we're seeing now an illusion? Bei Gong Ao said. That's right. The man's expression was solemn. He was a formation master invited by the Earth Palace. His attainments in formation were relatively deep, but even he did not notice that he had already entered the other party's formation. It could be seen how powerful the other party's formation was. If it wasn't for the fact that they were pressed for time and didn't have time to set up their attacks, they would probably be dead by now. Sima Yue had once used this formation to deal with the Jiang family. It had caused Jiang Fei and Evernew City Lord to lose control and kill each other. However, due to the lack of time, she could only set up an illusion to trap the people that Bei Gongxiong had brought with him. Master, can you break the formation? The Earth Palace Master asked. It will take some time. That Array Master said, the other party's attainments in array formations are higher than mine. She can surround the entire Een family. We have to deduce the rules of her calculations before we can break the array. Then, should we continue? Bei Gongxiong asked. It's useless even if we leave. As long as we stay in this array formation, we won't be able to get close to the Een clan's house. It's better to ask everyone to stop so that their efforts will be in vain. Grandmaster stopped talking after he finished speaking and began to calculate the data of Sima Yue's array formation. The main members of the Een clan were all in the main courtyard. When they heard that the Bei Gong clan was trapped in the illusion array, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Yue said that you can trap them for half a day. That should be no problem. Bei Gong Tang said. Little Tang, this friend of yours is really amazing. She just casually set up an array, but it's so powerful. One of Bei Gong Tang's aunts said with a smile. Yue is naturally amazing. When Bei Gong Tang talked about Sima Yue, her tone was filled with pride. When she comes back, we must thank her properly. Een family head said. Xiao Tang, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, she wouldn't have helped us. Clan head, in the end, Bei Gong clan and the Earth Palace attacked us because cousin sent Bei Gong heir and Guyun heir to the abyss of hell. Why should we thank her? A lady glared at Bei Gong Tang unhappily. It was clearly that Bei Gong heir who swore an oath to compete with cousin in pill refinement. She was only pulled into the Avicii hell after losing. That Guyon heir also went against her oath and wanted to kill cousin, so she was pulled into the Avicii hell. They only have themselves to blame. What does it have to do with cousin? A man with delicate features said, moreover, the Baegong clan has wanted to deal with our Een clan for a long time. Even if this matter didn't happen, they would still deal with us. You're being biased by blaming cousin like this. That lady was choked by the man's words. She wanted to refute, but the Een family head berated her. What time is it now? You're still bickering here. Clan head, what Lu Er said is right. This happened because they came back. Even if you berate Lu Er, you can't cover up this fact. A lady said. She looked at Een Lan and Baegong Tang with an unfriendly gaze. They realized that the clan treated Baegong Tang and Een Lan very well. Een Lan was about to snatch their position. It seems that ants are very unhappy that we're in the Een family. Baegong Tang smiled and said, since you don't welcome us, when this matter is over, my mother, brother and I will leave the clan. We won't be part of the Een family anymore. If you want to leave, leave now. Once you leave, who knows if the Baegong clan will retreat? A teenage boy said. Are you sure that if we leave, the Baegong clan will let the Een family go? Can the Een family save themselves? Baegong Tang laughed coldly. Those people's original target was you. If you leave, they will naturally let us go. Even if we don't leave, when the Goshawk clan comes, they will kill all of them. That boy said. Pfft, cousin, you really know how to talk nonsense. Baegong Tang looked straight at that boy. Do you think that if we leave, the Goshawk clan will come and help you? What relationship do you have with them? The boy was speechless. What she said was right. If she left, the Sima clan would definitely leave as well. Without them, the Goshawk clan would not care if they lived or died. They were originally sent by Sima Yuyue to help Baegong Tang, not to help the Een family. Alright, let's talk less. Een family head rubbed the space between his eyebrows. Family head, I'm telling the truth. I've already talked to mother. After this matter is over, mother, brother and I will leave the Een family. Little Tang, why do you have to? A man who looked somewhat similar to Een Lan spoke up. Why? Baegong Tang laughed coldly. Although my mother married into the Baegong clan, she did not do anything to let down the Een family. I didn't expect that in just a few days after I left Autumn Moon City, you people would come and bully them. Why do you have to do this? This Een family is not something that we want to acknowledge. You treat mother well, so we naturally want to come down. You don't want us to stay, so we won't be an eyesore and be bullied. It's not like we can't live without you. The last time she went to the auction, she came back and found that her mother and brother were being bullied. She was furious. After investigating the reason, she found out that they thought that Sima Yuyue would not come back, so there was no use in keeping Een Lan and the rest. At that time, there were people who were unhappy that they came back, and at that time, they came to bully them. Een Lan said that they would let it go because they were from the Een family, but Baegong Tang decided that once the Baegong clan's matter was settled, she would take them with her and leave. Een Lan, you think so too? The Een family head looked at Een Lan, who was silent at the side, and asked. I'll do whatever Tang says. Een Lan said. Family head, if we really settle the Baegong clan and the Earth Palace, the Een family will be the only big family in Autumn Moon City. This can be considered our repayment for your shelter. Baegong Tang said. Seeing Baegong Tang's firm attitude, the Een family head sighed in his heart. He regretted that he did not punish his sons for that matter. It was because of the unfair treatment that Baegong Tang, who did not have a good impression of the Een family, was bitterly disappointed and wanted to leave. At this time, Sima Yuyue did not know what was happening in Autumn Moon City. At this time, she was rushing towards a direction outside of Autumn Moon City. Chapter 536. Honor Rock brought 2 four-winged rocks and flew towards Autumn Moon City. They received news that the king was already on the way to rescue them. As long as they could hold on until they arrived, they would be saved. Their hearts were filled with hatred when they saw the goshawk's remaining members getting closer and closer. It was unknown where this Earth Palace had met the remnants of the Goshawk clan. Knowing the grudge between them and the Four-Winged Rock clan, they also knew that they would seek the help of the Goshawk clan. Thus, they ambushed them outside the city. As soon as they came out, they would intercept them. There were only 3 of them, but the other side had more than 10 people. If it weren't for their strength, they wouldn't have been able to hold on for so long. He had never been in such a sorry state in his entire life. The Goshawk king had been killed in the previous incident, but the Goshawk clan had not been completely wiped out. Some of the Goshawk clan had escaped, and some of the stronger ones had killed their way out. Now that they hated the Four-Winged Rocks to the bone, they would naturally not show mercy when they saw their enemies. Sima Yuyue sat on Little Rock's back. Hearing him say that Honor Rock's aura was getting weaker and weaker, her heart was burning with anxiety. "Master, they are right in front," Little Rock said. They heard the sounds of fighting. It must be Honor Rock and the others fighting. Thinking of this, Little Rock increased his speed. Very soon, they saw the Honor Rock trio covered in injuries, stubbornly resisting the siege of a group of goshawks. "It's the remnants of the Goshawk clan." Sima Yuyue saw that it was the Goshawk race that was chasing after Honor Rock and the others. She was so angry that she called out the remaining 4-winged rocks to save them. When Ninth Rock and the others saw the remnants of the Goshawk clan injuring Honor Rock and the others to such an extent, they hurriedly flew over to save them. The situation instantly reversed. Honor Rock's injuries were very serious. The reason he was able to hold on until now was completely because of the belief that someone would come to save them. Now that he saw his own people coming, the string in his heart relaxed. He fainted and fell straight down from the sky. "General Honor." Someone saw him falling and hurriedly grabbed his body, then slowly brought him down. The other 2 injured ones also withdrew from the battlefield and landed beside Honor Rock, transforming into mimicry. Sima Yuyue and Little Rock rushed over and saw the unconscious Honor Rock. She hurriedly took out a bottle of pills and gave it to the other 2 to eat. Then, she looked at the mountain-like Honor Rock and the small pills in her hand and face-bombed. "I'll do it." Little Rock transformed into his human form and came to the side of Honor Rock's mouth. He pried open his huge beak and then threw the medicinal pill inside. This was an elixir that Sima Yuyue had concocted for spirit beasts. It took effect quickly and soon, Ren Pengrong woke up. "Your Majesty," he called out weakly. "It's fine," Little Rock said. Honor Rock transformed into a small bird. Sima Yuyue walked over and hugged him. Very quickly, Ninth Rock and the others killed all the goshawks. Not a single one was left. Sima Yuyue looked at the mountain-like corpses and said, "Bring them all back. They're not weak. When we have time, we'll eat them to fill our stomachs and increase our spiritual power." Honor Rock and the others had seen Sima Yuyue eat goshawks before and were not unfamiliar with her hobby. Seeing her keep all the corpses, they were not surprised. After Sima Yuyue kept all the corpses, she kept Ninth Rock and the others in her spirit pagoda. Then, she returned to Autumn Moon City with Little Rock. When they returned, the Een clan's battle had almost ended. The corpses had not been cleaned up and the Een clan's people were cleaning up the corpses and the bloodstains on the streets. With the help of the Goshawk clan and Beigong clan's desperate counterattack, the Beigong clan and the people they brought were almost completely wiped out. Sima Yuyue went to the hall and found Beigong Tang. Before she entered, she heard Beigong Tang's voice from inside. That voice was very loud and she could hear that it was very angry. She subconsciously stopped in her tracks, wanting to hear what they were arguing about. "Beigong Tang, don't be so shameless. We have already apologized. What else do you want?" "What do I want?" Beigong Tang laughed coldly. "You want to erase the fact that you bullied my mother and younger brother with an insincere apology? Actually, I don't want to do anything. What I want to do has already been decided." After this matter with the Bei Gong clan, my mother, younger brother, and I will leave the Yin clan. I want to ask, what do you want to do by stopping my mother and not letting her leave? Sima Yuyue raised her eyebrows. The Yin clan actually bullied Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang? Xiao Tang, we are your aunts. As your elders, we have already lowered our heads and apologized to you. You are still harping on this matter and not letting it go. It is a little unreasonable. A woman's voice was heard. You apologized. You only saw that Yuyue had returned and called the Goshawk clan over. You felt that we were useful again, so you softly said that it was wrong at that time. I am not a fool. Everyone knows what you are thinking in your hearts. I don't want my mother and younger brother to still be bullied by you after I leave the clan. Sima Yuyue more or less understood when she heard this. She originally thought that the Yin clan would treat Yin Lan and the others well. This way, Bei Gong Tang would be able to leave in peace. But now, it seemed that the Yin clan was not a clan that could be entrusted to them. Sima Yuyue got someone to report and then walked in. Seeing that she had returned, the anger on Bei Gong Tang's face dissipated a little. Yuyue, did you find General Rong and the others? I found them. Although they are injured, their lives are not in danger. Sima Yuyue said, I heard you arguing outside just now. What happened? It's nothing. It's just that we wanted to leave the Yin clan and they didn't agree. Bei Gong Tang glanced at them coldly. Sima Yuyue looked at Yin Lan who was sitting at the back and asked, Auntie Lan, do you want to leave? Yin Lan nodded, saying, I want to be with Tanger. It's not good for me to say anything about your clan's matters. But no matter what decision you make, I will support you. Sima Yuyue said to Bei Gong Tang. After speaking, she looked at the Yin clan head and said, Yin clan head, leave a way out for everything. We will meet again in the future. If they really angered Bei Gong Tang, the Yin clan would suffer a double loss and end up in the same state as the Bei Gong clan. She did not say what she wanted to say, but how could the Yin clan not understand her meaning? Since they want to leave, then let them leave. Yin Hao said as he came in from outside. Third brother. Hao. The Yin clan did not expect that Yin Hao would actually support Bei Gong Tang to leave the clan. Did he not know how big of a loss this would bring to the clan? Yin Hao looked at the people present and said, I want her to live. Since she is not living well in the clan, then let her leave. You guys should also put away your little schemes if you don't want the Yin clan to end up in the same state as the Bei Gong clan. Sima Yuyue did not expect Yin Hao to say such words. However, his position in the clan was different. Since he had already said so, even if the Yin clan had any objections, it was useless. Chapter 537. With Yin Hao's words, Bei Gong Tang finally brought Yin Lan and Bei Gong Hang out of the Yin clan. However, the Yin family had agreed to let them leave, but he didn't want them to leave the family. Their names still remained in the family records. Bei Gong Tang saw that Yin Lan was indeed reluctant to part with the Yin clan, and also agreed. In any case, as long as Yin Lan was not in the clan, she would not be bullied by those people. Thus, the group quickly left Autumn Moon City and rushed to Tianfu City. Tianfu City was the largest city in the central region. There were many forces in the city and many forces and clans gathered outside the city. It was much more than other cities. When Sima Yu and the others arrived at Heavenly City, they found an inn to stay in. After that, they didn't go to the Heavenly Sect. Instead, they found a house near the sect and settled down as a place for them to stay. Sima Lai, Sang Mu Yu and Yin Lan did not want to go to the academy, and Shiman Feng was too old to go. There was a courtyard where they could live normally. Yuyue and the others had a place to stay when they left the academy. The courtyard he bought wasn't big. There were only a few small courtyards in total. However, because it was close to the academy, the price was ridiculously high. Fortunately, Sima Yuyue still had 4 million mid-grade crystal stones left. After spending almost all of her savings, she bought this courtyard. There was still more than a month before the academy's enrollment. Sima Yuyue and the rest used this time to familiarize themselves with Heaven City. Tianfu City was the largest city in the central region, spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers from north to south and hundreds of thousands of kilometers from east to west. Even if one stood on the tallest building, they wouldn't be able to see the end of it. The Sky Heaven School was located in the eastern district of the city. It was close to the center of the north-south direction, so it wasn't very far to the north and south of the city. At least they could use spirit beasts to go back and forth in the same day. The western district was much further away. There was an area in the city center that did not belong to the four cardinal directions. It was the most prosperous area in the city. Those who could enter this area were not ordinary forces. Furthermore, there was a rule here that no one was allowed to fight here. Once discovered, they would be blacklisted by various forces. Most people who entered this place didn't dare to act rashly because the shop owner here wasn't someone anyone could afford to offend. Sima Yuyue and the rest had been wandering around the city for the past few days. Even if they didn't buy anything, they only rode on the spirit beasts and took a few days to finish walking the main streets. On this day, Sima Yuyu, Sima Lai, Sima Yulin and Wu Lingyu went to the memory restaurant in the city center. After entering, she showed the shopkeeper a token and he immediately led them to a courtyard in the backyard. "Greetings, second master." The shopkeeper bowed towards Sima Yuyue. "I have been waiting for you under young master's orders." "Shopkeeper you don't have to be so courteous. Just call me Yuyue." Sima Yuyue waved her hand. "I'm here to take a look at the situation here." Before Qin Mo left, he originally wanted to give her the entire memory restaurant. He said that it was originally opened for her. She rejected him, so Qin Mo said that she would be responsible for it as well. In the future, she would be the second master of memory restaurant. Seeing the persistence in his eyes, she understood that he wanted her to have someone to rely on and a source of income. He wanted her to know that if anything happened, he would still be there to rely on. "Yu, I don't want to repeat the mistakes of the past," he said sadly. Her heart warmed and she accepted this favor. "I will show the account book to young master." "Shopkeeper," he said. "No need." Sima Yuyue said, "Shopkeeper whatever you did in the past, you will do it in the future. If anything happens, just let me know. There's no need to look at the account book." "Yes. This is my grandfather. If there's anything in the future, just look for him. We are now living in Banyan Tree Street," Sima Yuyue said as she pointed at Sima Lai. "I understand." "Shopkeeper," he replied. "Shopkeeper, how much do you know about the heavenly sex recruitment?" Sima Yuyue asked. "Does young master want to participate in the recruitment?" Shopkeeper he asked. "Yes, I heard that this sect is not bad, so I want to go in and learn," Sima Yuyue said with a smile. "This heavenly sect is not bad. It is one of the best in the entire primordial lands. Many people from the inner regions come here to learn." "Shopkeeper," he said, "apart from being under 100 years old, you have to go through a few rounds of tests before you can enter the sect. Do you know the contents of the tests?" Shopkeeper he shook his head. "The contents of the tests are kept secret before the recruitment. You will only know after the tests are over. The contents of the tests are different every time. There's no way to get any experience from the previous batch of recruitment." After that, Sima Yuyue asked a few more questions about the sect. They left after getting a general understanding of it. On the way back, they saw many young people discussing the recruitment. They guessed that these people were also here to participate in the recruitment. So many people came to participate, but only 100 people are recruited. You can imagine the competition. Sima Yulin couldn't help but sigh. "Even if the competition is fierce, I believe that we can still get in," Sima Yuyue said confidently. She believed that it was not only her, but also her brothers from the Sima family, Bei Gong Tang and the others. Everyone had experienced so many things, so their mentality was definitely fine. Their talent was not bad, and adding on the time they saved in the Spirit Pagoda, their strength was not bad for those under 100 years old. It should not be a problem for them to pass the recruitment test. Hey, have you heard? There are many geniuses who came to participate in the recruitment this time. Really? Who are they? You haven't heard? That person said with surprise, I heard that apart from the geniuses from the outer regions, there are also geniuses from the inner regions, Southern Desolation, Northern Desert, Eastern Region and Western Liang. I heard that a few geniuses came to participate. Really? Then this year's competition will be tough. Of course, the two of them walked away as they spoke. Sima Yuyue and the others who accidentally heard the news looked at their backs and sighed at the difficulty of the competition this time. After they went back, Sima Yuyue and the others told everyone about the news they received today. Everyone's faces were solemn, and the pressure was not small. Everyone, don't worry. If you can enter, then enter. If you can't, don't be discouraged. There are many paths to cultivation, and this is not the only one. Sima Lai said. Grandfather is right. We will do our best. Even if we can't enter, we will not regret it. Sima Yuqi said. In the excited atmosphere of the whole city, the recruitment day of the heavenly sect arrived. Even Sima Yulu and the others could not calm down because they were too excited. A group of people ate, drank and chatted in the courtyard. Sima Yuyue came to Wu Lingyu's side with 2 cups of wine and handed one to him. Senior, are you not going to go back? I said I would be with you, waiting for Amo Sha to wake up. Wu Lingyu smiled faintly as he drank the wine in one gulp. You also want to participate in the recruitment with us? Sima Yuyue looked at Wu Lingyu with surprise. Without waiting for him to reply, she said, you are definitely more than 100 years old. You don't have the right to participate. Wu Lingyu came in front of Sima Yuyue, and the two of them could smell the wine from each other's breath. Junior, do you want me to go with you? Chapter 538. Wu Lingyu's voice was lazy and teasing, but it also gave people the feeling that he was serious. Sima Yuyue turned her head and their noses touched. When she saw those smiling eyes, her heart skipped a beat. Junior brother hasn't answered me yet. When she heard that magnetic voice and smelled the faint fragrance of wine on his breath, she didn't know why her face turned red. She quickly turned her head in embarrassment and said, I don't care what senior brother wants to do. After that, she lowered her head and took a sip of wine to hide her emotions. Wu Lingyu chuckled softly. This was the first time Sima Yuyue had heard him laugh out loud. In the past, it was always a faint smile, a devilish smile, an indifferent smile. It was always a silent smile. Looks like this guy is in a good mood. At the thought of this, Sima Yuyue could not help but glare at him. She turned around and returned to the table to continue eating and drinking with everyone else. She couldn't be bothered to care about what he would do in the future. He wasn't a child anymore. He definitely had his own plans. Wu Lingyu leaned against the balustrade of the pavilion. He took out a wine jug, filled his cup, and drank it with a smile. He would give her a surprise. The next morning, Sima Yuyue and the rest packed up and headed to the Sky Heaven School. They were close to the academy and had woken up early. However, when they arrived, they still discovered that they were late. That was because the outside of the academy was bustling with activity. There were tens of thousands of people. There are so many people so early in the morning. Did they come here since last night? Sima Yuyue's lips twitched. There are so many people, are you really only accepting 100? Fatty Chu looked at the crowded scene and swallowed his saliva. If that's really the case, then this ratio is indeed frightening. Wei Ziqi said. Great pressure. Sima Yulu felt that he was a little uncertain. He didn't know if he would be chosen. At this time, they heard people talking beside them. Their originally disappointed hearts were filled with confidence. I heard that someone leaked the news last night that they're not only taking in 100 people this time. I think so. Those who came early are all spreading the news. Hee, if that's really the case, then wouldn't our chances of being selected be even greater? Yeah, just thinking about it makes me excited. If it's not 100 people, then how many? I don't know. Who knew what the Academy was thinking? Although they would only accept 100 people each time, there were exceptions. The highest number they accepted was 500 people, and the lowest number they accepted was 20 people. Since there are rumors that there are more than 100 people, then the number of people is probably uncertain. In short, the more we recruit, the greater our chances. Of course. Sima Yuyue and the rest looked at each other. If that was the case, they would have a better chance. He just didn't know how the Academy would assess him. He remembered that at that time in the Yilin continent, Bei Gong Tang and the others only had to touch the testing ball when they took the test. He didn't know if this would be any different from the past. Out of the way, out of the way. There was a sudden commotion at the back. Sima Yuyue and the rest turned around and saw a few people who looked like guards pushing the crowd aside, allowing a luxurious beast carriage to slowly drive over. Seeing the three divine beasts pulling the carriage, Wu Hen, everyone present subconsciously opened up a path for the beast carriage to drive to the front. Wu Hen, also known as Quan Yin, was a kind of spirit beast with the bloodline of an ancient divine beast. It looked like a cow, but it didn't have the honest nature of a cow. It was cruel, liked to kill, and was strong. Now that there was someone using a Wu Hen to pull a carriage, their background was definitely not small. Who is sitting in the beast carriage, so ostentatious? Fatty Chu blinked and said. You don't even know this? You'll know when you see the mark on the carriage. This is the Grey Wolf clan of the Northern Desert. Someone at the side saw that Fatty Chu didn't even know this and explained. What kind of clan is the Grey Wolf clan? Sima Yuyue asked Sima Yuyue. She used to be from the central regions, so she should know this. The Grey Wolf clan is a big clan in the Northern Desert. Their surname is Grey Wolf and their clan is huge. They are one of the top clans in the Northern Desert. They are ruthless and like to take revenge. Their methods are cruel and those who offend them don't have a good ending. I heard that among the younger generation, there's a youth called Song Langli. He's very talented. He's only 50 years old, but he's already advanced to Divine Overlord rank. Sima Yuyu explained, thinking about it, the one sitting in the carriage should be Tsang Langli. This kind of person would come here to study? Fatty Chu didn't understand. For a clan like theirs, they could definitely nurture him better. Why would they let him come here? Although the Heavenly Sect is only an outer sect, it has an extremely important position in the entire continent. Moreover, it is said that there are many secrets. Being able to walk around here is also a kind of affirmation for them. Bei Gong Tang said. When the beast carriage reached the gate of the academy, it stopped moving forward and waited with everyone else. After a while, another carriage came. Although there were no guards in front shouting this time, when everyone saw the spirit beast pulling the carriage, they consciously opened up a path. They actually used the descendant of the ancient divine beast, Fu Zhu, to pull the carriage. This meant that their status was definitely not lower than the Grey Wolf clan. What kind of spirit beast is that? It looks like a white deer. Sima Yuyue said. That is Fu Zhu. It is the descendant of the ancient divine beast. Although it looks like a white deer, it is much more ferocious than a white deer. It is extremely fast. Many people want to use it as a means of transportation. However, very few people can find it and tame it to pull the carriage. Sima Yuyue said. Then which power does this person belong to? If I didn't guess wrongly, it should be someone from Western Liang. Sima Yuyue said. Looking at the two beast carriages that were parked side by side, she was puzzled. Why are these people gathering at this time to participate in the recruitment? Is there anything strange? Sima Yuyue asked. Sima Yuyue nodded and said, although this sect is not bad, it is a little strange to let so many geniuses from the inner regions to participate in the recruitment at the same time. After all, this sect's recruitment period is not long. It happens once every 10 years. For cultivators, 10 years was nothing more than the blink of an eye. There is no need for them to rush here at this time. Maybe it is a coincidence, Fatty Chu said. The sound of the beast carriage came from behind again. Sima Yuyue looked at the beast carriage that was slowly approaching and narrowed her eyes. Was this really a coincidence? They waited for a while. During this time, many beast carriages came and they all went to the front to wait. No one dared to be rash. Looking at the crowd that was retreating, Sima Yuyue sighed in her heart. What was the use of coming early? They still had to give way when they met someone powerful. Just as the sun was hanging in the sky, the sect gate slowly opened. An old man with white hair and a white beard wearing a white robe slowly walked out from inside. Chapter 539. There was a group of people behind the old man. They were not surprised to see the people waiting outside. There are more people this year than in previous years. One of the mentors said, I wonder how many people will pass the assessment. There are quite a few geniuses this year. I don't think they will disappoint us. Another mentor said. These geniuses, how many of them are here to learn with sincerity? A black-clothed instructor said with a straight face. All right, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's prepare for this year's test. The old man said. As soon as he spoke, no one else dared to say anything. One of them walked up to the high platform in front of the academy and waved his hand. Everyone present quieted down. Welcome everyone to the Heavenly Sect's enrollment this year. The teacher's voice wasn't loud, but it spread to every corner. But that doesn't mean that you'll be members of my academy just because you're here today. If you want to join the academy, you must pass our test. Only after passing the test can you become a student of the academy. After he finished speaking, he paused for a moment, looked around at everyone present, and said, I just made a visual estimate. There are at least 50,000 people here this time, but you all know the academy's rules. They only accept a fixed number of people. Whether or not you can enter this quota will depend on your own ability. The people below began to whisper to each other. Many of them were worried about whether they would be able to enter the quota. Quiet. He waited for everyone to quiet down before continuing. The assessment this time is divided into 3 stages. Only after passing all 3 stages can you be considered to have passed our assessment. Now, you can go to the first stage. After saying that, everyone saw a silver light shining under their feet. Before they could figure out what the first test was, they disappeared. Sima Yuyue felt dizzy. When she regained her balance, she was alone in the desert. She looked around, but there was no one around. The scorching sun above her head was scorching the earth, causing the sand to become boiling hot. The whole environment was like a huge steamer. Illusion? She thought about it carefully. Apart from this, she could not find any other explanation for the sudden change. I don't know if this is an illusion created by an illusory array or some other spirit artifact. But it's so realistic. It really makes me feel hot. Sweat flowed down her bun. She wanted to take out a handkerchief from her spatial ring to wipe it off, but she found that she couldn't communicate with her spatial ring. When she realized this, her heart shook. She sensed the spirit pagoda and found that it couldn't be opened. However, she did not panic. She closed her eyes and cleared her mind. Then, with a thought, a spirit fruit appeared in her hand. She looked at the fresh fruit in her hand and smiled happily. An illusion array is an illusion array. It doesn't exist at all. It wasn't that this space couldn't be connected to the spatial ring, but the illusion array made people think so. Subjectively, people thought that it couldn't be connected. However, objectively speaking, as long as one emptied one's mind and did not think that one was in an illusion, one would be able to take out the items in the spatial ring. If those people thought that they couldn't communicate with their spatial rings, they would definitely panic. Then, passing the test in such an environment would indeed be more difficult. Could it be that the test this time is to walk out of this desert? As she ate the spirit fruit, the uncomfortable feeling in her body subsided. Only then did she calm down and think about the content of the assessment. This desert is boundless. It shouldn't be this. Thinking about it again, if it wasn't to walk out, then it should be to see how long one could last here. Those who couldn't meet the requirements would be eliminated. After thinking about it, this was the most reasonable. Since she wasn't in a hurry to find a way out, then she wasn't in a hurry. She stayed in place without moving. She even took out a tent and sat in the tent to meditate and cultivate. At this time, in a room in the Sky Heaven School, a group of teachers surrounded a huge crystal ball and looked at the situation of the examinees. Yo, someone saw through the truth so quickly this time? A flirtatious woman wearing tight red clothes saw the situation in the crystal ball and lowered her head to continue polishing her nails. This reaction is a bit too fast. The other teachers were also curious. The people who went in before didn't react as quickly as him. And looking at him, he should have guessed what the test is about. From the moment she made contact with the spatial ring, the people in the room had already noticed her. To be able to react in half an hour was unprecedented. Especially when they saw her setting up a tent and taking out spirit fruits to eat one after another. Then, she leisurely meditated. Everyone in the room had a strange expression. This brat passed this test too easily. That's right, in their eyes, being able to make contact with the spatial ring was already half of the test. This was because most people would store water in their spatial ring. As long as there was water, they would be able to survive here. Then the condition of staying here for 10 days was not difficult for her. He's an array master. The old man from before opened his eyes and looked at the crystal ball and said with certainty. To be able to react so quickly, his array skills shouldn't be low. Is he really less than 100 years old? The glazed mirage can only be entered by people under 100 years old. Since he can enter, he must be under 100 years old. He should only be in his 20s. The white-clothed old man said. 20s? The other teachers in the room exclaimed softly. How could someone in their 20s have such high array skills? But if the vice principal said so, then it should be so. 20s, this talent is simply heaven-defying. The teachers came back to their senses and looked at Sima Yue with a burning gaze. This was a prodigy among prodigies. At this moment, Sima Yue suddenly felt like she was being watched by many people. She opened her eyes and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, she stopped cultivating with a puzzled gaze. What a sharp little fellow. The vice principal saw Sima Yue's alertness and nodded his head in satisfaction. They were just looking at her, but she actually felt it. This was not something an ordinary person could have. Since that's the case, let's send her to the next stage of the test earlier. One of the teachers said. I agree. The first stage of the test is already useless. She can go to the next stage earlier. The vice principal's eyes flashed. He nodded his head and stroked his long beard, saying, then let's send her to the second stage of the test. Oh, we'll send 5 for the first time. I wonder how this little fellow will react, hee. Ever since Sima Yue felt that someone was watching her, she stopped cultivating. However, she did not know how long she would have to stay here. She wanted to find something to do, so she took out some array stones and fiddled with them. Sha sha sha, hearing the soft sounds from the desert, her lips curled into a faint smile. Chapter 540. Rustle, rustle, the sound from the yellow sand did not make Sima Yue panic. She just sat in the tent and looked outside leisurely. Kacha, the sound of pincers opening and closing could be heard. Then, one by one, large red pincers emerged from the yellow sand, followed by a 1 to 2 foot long red scorpion. Kacha, Kacha, 5 red scorpions surrounded Sima Yue and her tent in the middle, each of their eyes shining with hunger. Such large scorpions, I don't know if they're real or just illusions. It would be great if they're real. Sima Yue touched her chin and pondered while looking at the red scorpions. Seeing that Sima Yue seemed to have ideas about them, the red scorpions were furious. One of them waved its large pincers and the other 4 immediately attacked her. Sima Yue did not hesitate as she condensed a fireball and threw it at the red scorpions. Poochie, the fireball hit the red scorpions, but it only made their movements pause for a moment. It did not cause any substantial damage to them. Immune to fire? Sima Yuyue looked at the red scorpions in astonishment as she dodged the poison they spat out. Because a few of them were attacking her at the same time, she was careless and her clothes were swept by the poison. Immediately, a large hole was corroded. Damn, it hurts. The hem of the shirt brushed against her leg, and a burning pain spread all over her body. What a poisonous liquid. If this was real, it would be best to use it to refine the poison. Thinking of this, her eyes lit up. She leaped and quickly jumped out of the red scorpions' heads and went outside. Since you're immune to fire, try something else. She formed a seal with her hands and a metal whip quickly appeared in front of her. She grabbed the whip and quickly swung it at the red scorpions. If she guessed correctly, these red scorpions should have lived under the desert and were exposed to high temperatures all year round, so they gradually became immune to fire. Fire and metal were the two attributes with the most attacking power. Since the fire attribute was useless, she would choose the metal attribute. Pa! The whip hit a red scorpion and the barbs on the whip directly pierced through its shell and into its flesh. She withdrew her whip, and blood flowed out from its body. Chi! A scorpion ambushed her and spat venom at her. She quickly dodged to the side. The venom landed on the yellow sand and emitted a corrosive smell. They're bullying us with numbers. She snorted and brandished her whip. In an instant, it coiled around a red scorpion. Then, with a forceful swing, that scorpion was flung far away by her. She rolled and flung again. Within a few breaths, the 3 scorpions were flung away by her, preventing them from coming back to attack her. Afterwards, she continued to deal with the remaining 2 red scorpions. Every time the whip landed on their bodies, they would feel excruciating pain. One of the weaker ones was whipped to death by her. The other one was a little stronger. She used the whip to trap it, then formed a seal with both hands. A long sword was formed, and then fiercely pierced towards the red scorpion, directly piercing through its head and into its tail. The red scorpion struggled on the ground for a bit before dying. At this time, the other 3 crawled back. Seeing that their comrade had died, the 3 red scorpions went crazy and attacked her together. This time, other than their venom, they also attacked with their spiritual energy. Sima Yuyue formed a protective layer around her body. Then, she concentrated on forming seals. Small swords were formed one by one, and under her control, they flew towards the red scorpions. Clang! The red scorpions waved their claws to knock the small swords away, or spat out venom to corrode the small swords. However, Sima Yuyue did not hold back this time. In an instant, she created dozens of small swords. Although some were knocked away, there were still many that pierced the red scorpions. Those 3 red scorpions lost their ability to move. After 2 more stabs from her, they fell to the yellow sand and stopped moving. The mentors outside the crystal balls saw her performance and nodded in satisfaction. Her fighting strength is not bad. Usually, people of this age would be more flustered when they were surrounded. Once they panicked, their fighting strength would drop, and it was very likely that they would be injured by the red scorpions. Although this glazed illusion would not kill anyone under their control, the pain within was still self-evident. And from the very beginning, she wanted to scatter her opponents and defeat them one by one. That thought was admirable. Seeing Sima Yuyue pick up a red scorpion and close her eyes to empty her mind, one of the mentors asked, "What is she planning to do?" "She probably wants to see if these red scorpions are real." Someone guessed. Sure enough, when Sima Yuyue opened her eyes again, she saw that the red scorpions were still there. She was extremely happy and carried the 5 red scorpions' corpses back into the tent. Sima Yuyue placed the 5 red scorpions side by side on the ground. Squatting beside one of them, she pried open the shell on its tail and checked its poison gland. What a good thing. Thinking about the poison that continuously attacked her just now, she was extremely curious. Taking out a pair of scissors, she cut off the poison gland. Once this thing is refined, it will definitely be a good thing for poison people. I really didn't expect that the spirit beasts here are actually real. She took out a pill furnace and threw the snipped poison gland inside. Then, she heated it up and refined it. Soon, the poison in the poison gland was completely refined by her. Next was the second one, the third one. She's an alchemist. The alchemy mentor said in astonishment when he saw Sima Yoyue's proficient movements. She's an alchemist? That's right. Look at her technique, it's indeed the technique of refining medicinal ingredients. The alchemy mentor said, and this technique should be a lost technique. Looking at her, her alchemy level shouldn't be low. Old Mu, what level do you think her alchemy is? It shouldn't be lower than level 5. Old Mu, who was the alchemy mentor, said. Around 20 years old, level 5. Her talent should be considered not bad, but not particularly outstanding. Old Mu glanced at that person and said, don't forget, other than being an alchemist, she's also an array master. Moreover, her array skills are so high. She's both an array master and an alchemist. Looks like our academy has a good seedling this time. The vice principal said with a smile. Some of the other people's performance is also not bad. Sang Langli, and Ruyu, and the others also quickly reacted. It's just that they haven't discovered the essence of this illusion, so they haven't connected with their spatial rings yet. Where did these people come from? Someone actually managed to connect with their spatial rings. That old man closed his eyes and thought for a while. The scene from before appeared in his mind. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, these people were standing with that little guy before. It seems like they're together. Oh. Where did this group of people come from? They're actually not bad. Could it be that they're from some big family? We'll find out when we investigate later. Let's continue watching. Oh right, send some spirit beasts to play with that little guy. The vice principal instructed. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.